604 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for a busy Thursday show, getting you ready for a busy Thursday overall. And we are starting off at 71 degrees with still a little light drizzle out there to start off your morning. Like I said, busy show. We got Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo coming up in half an hour. We're going to dive into the legislative session with Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting in the 7 o'clock hour. We get the folks from Eye Care stopping by. We have got an absolute overload of content after that. State Representative John Wyble going to be in. Talk about insurance, talk about a few things he's working on. And then Governor Jeff Landry in studio 8:15. Author Jeffrey Marx 8:35. I mean, we are loaded for bear, so let's get rolling. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
For the first time in 5 years, Louisiana has more jobs than it did before the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the first quarter 2025 economic dashboard released Tuesday by the newly formed Leaders for a Better Louisiana. Jobs were up 1.1% over the past year, the report says, and up 2.2% over the past 2 years. The state currently has about 4,100 more jobs than it did in February of 2020.
Number 4.
Casino in downtown Baton Rouge, formerly known as the Bell, has rebranded and reopened as of yesterday. The casino and a 10-story hotel, now a Bally's branch, has been fully renovated and refurbished. Grand opening ceremony was held yesterday to celebrate the business returning to the capital city. I actually got to swing by to take a look at the hotel. Man, well done. Very, very well done. I grabbed a video of one of the suites. I'll have to post that up on Talk's Facebook page later on.
Number 3.
East Baton Rouge Metro Council signed off on Mayor Sid Edwards' plan outlining the handoff of tax revenue and oversight of services from the city parish to the city of St. George. Come July 1st, the city of St. George is going to have control over their own city assets like roadways and drainage. As part of the agreement, East Baton Rouge will pay just over $17 million worth of sales tax revenue since July 1st of last year. Then starting this July, St. George will begin collecting the 2% sales tax that voters chose to transfer over late last year.
Number 2.
A deputy warden from Dixon Correctional Institute has been promoted to head the Elaine Hunt Correctional Center. According to the Department of Public Safety and Corrections, they made the announcement of the promotion of Keith Turner and the official retirement of former warden Tim Hopper yesterday.
Number 1.
LSU Provost Roy Haggerty, the highest ranking academic administrator on campus, will be leaving the university. This, according to the Louisiana Illuminator, he's the third high-profile departure from LSU this year. What's trending, John?
Well, President Donald Trump said this week he has no plans to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, reversing what was believed to be his earlier position.
So I was going back and I was looking for, I thought he had said he was going to fire Powell as well.
Yeah.
And everybody was asking, can he? Should he? Can he? Should he? But I don't have the exact quote, so I don't want to misquote him if that's not exactly what he said.
Right.
Donald Trump does that a lot. You know,
well, yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good to know. I mean, looks like he might have his job after all.
Well, and the Fed chair's apolitical. It has to be. Yeah. Has to be apolitical. So apolitical that both sides will say he's political to the other side. Like that's the nature of the beast, man.
Yeah, that it is. In other news, food manufacturers may have to find new dyes after the Food and Drug Administration announced Tuesday it would phase out the use of petroleum-based synthetic dyes by the end of next year.
Yeah. So, this is what we're battling here. It's it's just not a priority for me.
Right.
Choosing healthier foods is more of a priority than making sure all my Fruit Loops are brown.
Right. Isn't that where we're at, though?
No, it is. It is. And I get it.
I get it.
But healthier. Like all things in moderation, you know? Yes. All things in moderation.
Absolutely.
I would rather eat fewer Skittles than not be able to taste the rainbow at all.
Hey, speaking of rainbows,
Oh.
Joseph Maldonado Passage, aka the Tiger King, Mr. Joe Exotic himself, has tied the knot with George Marquez. Both men are currently serving time in prison, Brian.
This gives me hope.
Does it?
Gives me hope for society.
It gives you okay.
If Joe Exotic
Elaborate,
can
please.
find true love for the 8th or 9th time,
there's hope.
Then there's hope for us all. Good old. Okay, for those that don't remember Joe Exotic, do we have a refresher course on Joe Exotic?
Oh my goodness.
I'm Joe Exotic, and today this is not going out to any kind of a presidential candidate or any politician. The purpose of this video today
Careful on the
is
edit,
to
right?
let you know who I am. First thing is, I am not cutting my hair. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a suit. I am gay. I've had 2 boyfriends most of my life. I currently got legally married. Thank God. It's finally legal in America. I've had some kinky sex. I have tried drugs through the younger years of my life. I am broke-ish. I have a judgment against me from some down there in Florida, but I can tell you I paid a fine with the USDA, and that is nothing but a civil fine, ladies and gentlemen. It does not mean that I was accused or convicted of any kind of animal cruelty thing. I built one of the biggest facilities and the nicest facilities for exotic animals in this country as far as a private individual goes. I'm Joe Exotic, and don't forget, I am now stepping my foot in the ring to run for president. And this is all
Oh, man, I miss that guy so much. Hey, remember when Trump was first elected in 2016 when Joe Exotic was first in prison?
Yeah.
I assume he's still in prison on that same sentence, but remember when Trump, no, not in 2016 when he was first elected. I'm sorry, because we didn't get to know Joe Exotic until the pandemic.
Oof.
When Biden was elected and Trump was on his way out.
Yeah.
And Joe Exotic was waiting on a presidential pardon. Remember he had a limo ordered.
Yeah, he
had
was
a
ready to
limo
roll.
waiting right outside the jailhouse.
He was ready to roll.
And the pardon never came. Oh, poor Joe. Poor Joe Maldonado Passage.
My goodness. Exotic. Mr. Exotic.
I'm waiting for like an extension of Tiger King now, and just it's gonna be called Prison Love.
Ugh.
612.
I feel like I need to take a shower.
Yeah, I know. It's everything about the Tiger King made you need to take a shower afterwards. 612 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk sports in a second. Before that break, got to remind you about the folks over at Matherns, Kenilworth area, Highland and Kenilworth. You know who I'm talking about over here. Remember the old school Kenilworth supermarket? That was the OG location of Matherns, if you will. That was their first spot here in Baton Rouge before branching out, moving around a little bit. Well, they finally come home. Kenilworth Supermarket is back as Matherns Market. The family you miss, the prices you miss have come home. And if you live in the area, go ahead, download the Matherns Rewards app today. Earn cash towards more groceries. Get the deals of the week every week. Get your coupons laid out. It's all handled through the app. Scan the barcode when you're in there. It's just that simple. It does the mathing for you. Matherns at Kenilworth is back, y'all. By the way, the app, of course, is still good at the other 2 locations, downtown on 3rd Street or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. It's Matherns. So do I wear a tie or not? I hate wearing a tie. But I feel like the governor should be wearing a tie. And for the sake of the social media posts, I feel like we should both have a tie on. I have a tie. I brought a tie.
It's going to circulate.
Kill the mics for a second. I'm not a tie guy. I got a fat neck.
Right.
I don't know. I'll think
say
about
you get
it.
that last button up.
Do what?
The last button.
Oh yeah. This
It's
shirt's good to
uncomfortable,
go.
though.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable, but it gets done.
Yeah. I'm the same way, dude. I mean, normally I can't get that last button. It's like, ugh.
Well, and the thing is, I have like a fat neck and T-Rex arms, which makes me a nightmare in the men's department.
Same.
Because like, I
can't
have a 17 and a half.
Yeah.
Along with a 33.
It doesn't make sense.
No, I either got to buy like a 36 on the arms.
Yep.
And then I look like Tom Hanks at the end of Big. Jeez, that's a dated reference. I have really got to update my comedy. It's either 80s and 90s or Sopranos. Like, that's all I know.
Oh, man.
And I used to be very hip on pop culture.
Oh, man. It happens. It'll be like that.
Speaking of T-Rex arms, Will Campbell.
Oh, got him. Yeah, the other day, Kate had told me if ever I run into a snafu with the weather, that it always updates every morning on here. I was like, I didn't realize that. So, but I'm gonna keep refreshing this though.
Please.
Yeah, because I don't want to rely on that.
But Josh is the evening guy. He would have sent over yesterday evening's weather. That's why I'm curious about it. We'll hear it at 6:30.
Yeah.
If it's not right, I'll do it live myself the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep refreshing.
Yeah. We're down. Oh, wow. We're down to less than a week to go in the Dreams Come True Radiothon presented by the Baton Rouge Clinic. 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon going on at talk1073.com all month long. Dreams Come True, of course, is an organization designed to help grant dreams for local children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. A number of local businesses have stepped up along the way, pledging to match your donations throughout the month. Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries, plus Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit talk1073.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can help make dreams come true. I am told later on this morning we're going to have another power hour going on. So, in fact, I think it's next hour. This power hour prize is VIP bracelets for Live After 5. Tomorrow, Fat Hat is performing Live After 5. Yours truly will be emceeing the whole shindig. And next hour, 7 o'clock hour, any donation that ends in a 7-3, $10.73, $20.73. Any donation that ends in a 7-3, you're in for a, I want to say it's 4 wristbands. Let me get the details straight, but that's what's that's the gist of it. By the way, speaking of Live After 5, clock out and rock out with us all spring long in downtown Baton Rouge for the free concert series. Fat Hat takes the stage 5 to 8 p.m. for Live After 5 down in Roar Plaza. Like I said, yours truly will be handling emceeing duties for that event tomorrow. All right, we only got a minute to go here. NFL draft starts tonight. You fired up? I mean, it's tough to be fired up this year, right? The Saints picking at 9. They're just outside of that window to where you have a pick that you're super excited about. Meanwhile, LSU will have we'll have a name called in the first 10 for sure. Will Campbell, offensive lineman. He's a 3-year starter at left tackle. He told KNOE Sports out of Monroe he's ready to find out where he's going to start his professional career.
Everything's going to work out in God's favor. You know, I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. And I'm just super excited that me and my family get to experience this because I work really hard for it.
A lot of mock drafts have the Patriots picking Campbell with the 4th overall pick. No problem if he wants to move up to the Northeast.
Cold isn't really a problem for me. I'm just super excited. Wherever it is, however far it is, like I said earlier, I'm just going to be super thankful and grateful for that team believing in me and me being able to be a part of their organization. And I'm just excited to get to work.
The draft will be tonight. I believe our sister station 104.5 ESPN is airing the full thing. I tell you what, let me find out about that for sure. And we'll talk a little bit more about the draft right after the Fox Business Report. You got two things. You're all right. You what? You're all right. She's okay, though. That's all that matters. I will not cut my hair. Hey, Haggai. How are you, sir? Did you make it to Rotary yesterday? Did what's her butt do the news? No. Okay. I left her a voicemail. Portia, newer member. All right. Awesome. We had our quarterly programming meeting. I don't know why Guarantee has to have all our meetings on Wednesdays. I'm stuck either like putting my Zoom on mute while over at Drusilla or skipping. It's guest. I don't know the password for the LAN. It's built into my computer. Hey, did you come in on 12 this morning?
Yeah. Just clear.
Okay, right after. Yeah, you got here a little early. Yeah, all right.
John, do you know the Wi-Fi password?
All right, let's start off on I-12 westbound because about 45 minutes ago, thereabouts, we saw an accident. I-12 westbound at Millerville, and I-12 westbound is super backed up as a result of it. In fact, well before the Denham Springs exit, actually, right after you hop on at Jubin, is where you're going to see the delays begin on 12 westbound. So that's stacked up quick. If your normal commute takes you on 12 west, you might want to think about opting for Florida Boulevard instead, as it's much lighter. Just a little bit of volume on Florida, not a whole lot going on though. But there's an accident. I'm sorry. You know what? It's not saying there's an accident. It says there's blockage. All right. Well, we'll try to get to the bottom of that and find out what exactly it is. But nonetheless, there are significant delays backed up for miles and miles and miles. Meanwhile, the rest of the interstates are looking great this morning. 10 West coming in from Ascension, 10 East coming in from West Baton Rouge, I-110. All of them are looking just fine. Surface streets, we've got a stall vehicle on Jefferson Highway at Pico. And there's an accident from a little less than an hour ago, Housha 2 at 3 Bars Drive. That's your look at traffic from the Shawbill Star Traffic Center. This would be like in the soundtrack of like a late 90s movie when they're about to go on a road trip. They're just
Counting
getting
crows,
started
man.
on the road trip.
So good.
Yeah. 625 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Coming up for, if you don't have your lunch plans today, might I suggest, as I always do, P.F. Chang's. In fact, scroll. I signed up for the Chang's Rewards, and there it is. New lunch and dinner specials are out right now. I love getting the stuff sent straight to my email. It makes it so convenient. Lunch starting at just $13.99, dinner starting at $16.99. The portion size is absolutely on point, where you're not going home hungry and you're not going home bloated either. The lunch and dinner specials, 7 days a week. Oh, by the way, and you can make your reservations now or just swing on by. You know where to find them. They don't swing by until lunchtime, obviously. But Corporate Boulevard, Town Center, look for the giant golden horse and the lunch and dinner specials. I'm trying to get a list of if there's anything that's excluded from it. That according to the email, it's wide open. So ask about the new lunch or dinner specials over at PF Chang's. Like I said, available 7 days a week. It is 626 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We were talking a little bit about the NFL draft in our last segment. We will continue that right now as Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. He gave an update, and as Mickey Loomis does, he didn't say much. He's talking about quarterback Derek Carr's situation. He didn't say much. Loomis says they're trying to determine the significance of Carr's shoulder injury overall.
He does have an issue with his shoulder. We're hoping to get some resolution and clarity on that in the near future. And when we do, I'll report back to you.
Awesome. No, you won't. It's so frustrating. Why even give him a microphone? He doesn't say anything, and he's not going to say anything. And I don't care what reporter is out there. You're not going to get him to say anything. He has a remarkable tradition of talking without saying anything. 9th overall pick coming up for the Saints tonight. So could they take a quarterback? Shedeur Sanders was his name was tossed around a good bit early, but that kind of that light has dimmed, that heat has faded. Loomis says Carr's injury is not going to impact their draft strategy overall.
Yeah, I don't think the draft approach for us is any different than it would be in any year. We're looking for as many good players, great players as we can find. And look, we're fortunate enough this year to have, multiple picks in the first 4 rounds. And we're excited about that because I think there's some depth in this draft that we'll be able to help our roster.
All right. Since Mickey Loomis's insight is looking for good picks, most of the draft experts think the Saints will take either an offensive or defensive lineman with a 9th overall pick. But like I said, when it comes to Loomis, he's not going to show you any of his cards.
If we're picking in the top 10, we're looking for somebody that, man, we're going to count on this guy for the next 8 to 10 years. And he's going to fill that spot, and we're not going to have to worry about it. That's a goal. And that sometimes that might be a home run, a perennial Pro Bowl player. But sometimes it might be a guy that just, man, we can sleep at night because we got that position covered for the next, 8 to 10 years.
So infuriating. Draft is tonight. Hell, you know what else starts today? The Zurich down in New Orleans. You got team play going on in the PGA, and the Zurich Invitational begins today down at on the West Bank. You know what? We need to get somebody on tomorrow morning to kind of reset and set the scene for the Zurich, because man, did it go over the top last year in popularity when Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry won it. They're back, by the way. But I don't know that they're, obviously you would think they're the favorites, but Zurich starts today down in New Orleans as well. We got about a minute or so until we have to check news, traffic, and weather. On the back end of that news, traffic, and weather check, Haggai Davis is in for a cup of Tech Gumbo. Looking forward to today's Tech Gumbo segment. Always looking forward to the segment, but today especially because we have got some stuff to talk about on the, let me scroll down. I got to get back to it. I was reading up on it this morning. Where did it go? No. Chat GPT, the 5 things you shouldn't be sharing with Chat GPT. We're going to have some fun on that front, to be sure. Yeah, Chat GPT doesn't need to know everything. It really doesn't need to know everything. We'll cover that and a whole lot more next. Haggai Davis is in studio right now. On the air, let's go ahead and hit up. We got ABC News coming your way, followed by local news, traffic, weather. Don't forget, 8:15, Governor Jeff Landry is in studio. 7:55, and that'll spill over into the 8 o'clock hour. State Representative John Wyble will be with us as well. Stick around.
Are you on the right? GTY.
Yes,
GTY land.
that's the land.
That's the one. I mean, I don't know the guess, but
You know, the guest is I don't know if there's like an exclamation point or whatever. I know the it's.
yeah, I just have the land. I've always just had down.
Yeah, I don't know if Bill wants me on the land.
Oh, it don't matter. You're here every week.
What city been?
Oh, my bad. I exit out of it. Wi-Fi. Wiki.
Texted Taylor, says 104.5 airing the draft. His response, I think so.
All right. Yeah. So far, nothing. Man, nothing on weather.
It's raining.
It's raining.
I can give you that one.
You almost. I want to play. I'm never gonna do it, but like an Ollie report. And to you, Ollie.
Straight sideways.
Yeah. All right. Bump right back to you. Like, that'd be amazing. Play the weather bed. And today's weather, Ollie.
So it's connected, but it says there's no internet available.
That happens a lot. I get booted off the LAN a lot. If I didn't need to be connected to a printer, I would personally hop on the damn guest Wi-Fi a lot more. Nope. Get rid of the dollar signs.
Wait, what?
If you want to get on the guest one. I knew if I searched my previous text, I would find it somewhere. I just typed large into my text history. What's the first part of the?
Yeah.
Good to go. Oh, I closed it out. A truck fire.
Freaking truck fire. Heck yeah. God.
Well, one would think the rain would put out the fire.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So my Microsoft Surface died.
Gotcha. Sit down. Yeah. Very nice. Talking with somebody the other day. They're like, "Why'd you choose a Dell?" I said, "Because my chief engineer walked in and said, 'Here's your new laptop.'" What are we doing here?
So the other story I'd like to get to, OpenAI wants to build a social network.
I skipped that because I knew I was going to glaze over.
Here's what's frightening. They want to generate all of the content themselves. Nothing, you can't post to it. It just feeds you the shit you want to see over and over. It just creates videos that you want to see.
All right, I have a feeling this is for naught because the emergency alert service is on, but here's your weather. Hang on. Play it. Yes. Yeah, this is last night's weather. All right, let it play because it doesn't matter right now. I'll do it from here on in. I'm sorry.
Have you seen Black Mirror?
No.
That's what this would be. It just feeds you the stuff. It just keeps creating the videos you want to see over and over and over.
How is that any different than how the algorithms work on all the other social media?
Because it's not real people making it. It guarantees it's the things you want to see, and it just generates the stuff for you.
No, but it doesn't. This is the problem I have with all the algorithms: is it guarantees what they think I want to see.
Better phrased, yes. And just continuously creates content over and over.
Yeah. All right. 638 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So a truck fire. That's what Ray had over there in traffic. And while it is getting better, it is still way backed up. So if you're coming in from points beyond, if you're coming in from like Denham Springs, Jubin, or beyond, you might not want to fight that right now. Just take Florida Boulevard to come on in. The trade-off is a couple of red lights instead of moving at 5-10 miles an hour throughout the thick of it. So we'll keep you updated as the morning wears on. You heard that alert from the National Weather Service right there. I believe that was on the air. Flash flood warning in effect. So we got a lot we're juggling this morning. In the meanwhile, let's get back to the show. Cup of Tech Gumbo. Yes, it's time for a Cup of Tech Gumbo. We welcome Haggai Davis back. How are you, sir?
Brian, doing great. Did the backstroke to get into the office?
Okay, was it bad out there? Because when I came in, it was a light drizzle.
Oh, no, it was coming down in
All
buckets.
right. Well, That's what we're here for. Is to make sure we can get everybody through their morning, to be sure. We'll update the forecast coming up at 7:00. In the meanwhile, we got a lot of ground to cover this morning. I know I want to go to the Chat GPT thing and what we shouldn't be telling Chat GPT, but there's another story that you and I were just talking about during the break that I think is much bigger and could have much larger ramifications.
Yes.
So let's be responsible and do this one first.
Okay.
Set the table for me. What are we looking at? This is a self-built social media?
Yes. OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, wants to create a social media network.
Okay.
Much like Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or any of those. The difference is the content that you would be seeing is AI generated 100%. And they're telling you up front it's AI generated, not, hey, I created some videos and posted it. There is no content that you will be able to put on this platform. It is all just what the generative AI thinks you want to see. Endlessly.
How is that any different than any other algorithm? Because TikTok generates what it thinks I want to see.
TikTok, supposedly, at least most of the time, the videos, the content is created by humans. There is a lot of AI generated stuff on TikTok.
Okay, so it's not just so all the content would be the content itself.
The content
would
itself
be AI.
Completely AI. And you just going to sit there and scroll endlessly at content generated by a computer because that's what the computer's algorithms think you want to see over and over and over. And these are going to be images of whatever you want it to be. And the difference is, at least with TikTok or Facebook or Twitter or one of those, some of the times it's going to be actual humans that generated the content.
Oftentimes, if you're scrolling through Reels, you're getting people. If you're on YouTube Shorts, you're getting people.
But even Reels, half the time, the people who are on there, they've embellished themselves with AI.
Understood, but it's still done by creators.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not done by one centralized source, which is what this would be. And I gotta wonder, who would want this?
To me, this is kind of like an episode of Black Mirror. I mean, you're just totally being sucked into a make-believe world. That even scrolling through, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know what it looks like, but I can imagine when you're scrolling endlessly on TikTok, you're imagining being in that world of that content creator. But at least you've got to hope that it is a human in the real world doing things, videoing themselves. This just scares me. This totally AI generated videos that it just seems like a really bad idea.
Okay, I realize we're in the heart of morning drive, and I realize there might be kids listening. If there are kids listening, you might want to dial out for just a quick second, okay? As they used to say in old school, earmuffs. How is it? This is just going to degenerate into porn, isn't it?
Sure.
And this is the
Absolutely.
social media version of a sex doll.
Absolutely.
I think that's there. That is exactly where this is going to go.
And yes,
because that's exactly who it's for.
With extreme
for fantasy,
extreme, video content of yes, it just and even if it doesn't go to porn, even if it's just a bunch of cats laying in front of the fire the whole time or something silly.
Oh, I'm big
that.
into pandas now.
Well, there you go. Let's go down the panda hole. And so if you're watching pandas,
watch it with the open AI. They're going to take that a different way.
Yeah. After I said that, I was like, oh, that probably didn't come out well.
Phrasing.
But if you're just watching pandas playing in a tree eating bamboo,
yeah,
endlessly,
they're so cute.
Hey,
they're adorable.
Give me a 2-hour video on pandas eating bamboo. It'll generate that for you.
Yeah,
and then you just sit there for 2 hours watching pandas,
right,
knowing that they're not real.
Right. So, and that's the part that I if I know going in that it's not real, like I could be fooled by AI, But if I know going in that it's not real, then I'm just not gonna partake.
After a while, you forget that it's not real because you're just so sucked into it.
But you got to get to that after a while part.
But I don't know how long it takes to get to that.
Yeah,
because of how good these videos are going to be.
Yeah,
I mean, the videos on Sora are really, really convincing, and we're just at the beginning of what this is all going to look like and how good these videos are going to be.
I hate it.
I do too.
I hate it. I'm hoping beyond hope that this is not where it's headed, where overall social media is headed.
I agree. But I think
I partake in social media to be social, whether you're talking about, keeping up with friends and family that I don't get to see on a day-to-day basis on Facebook, or just people who do, fun and interesting. I don't want to say compelling, but just some of it's mind numbing, but you get to turn your brain off for a little while with the videos.
But we've talked about it before. The estimates right now, at least half of what you see on social media is AI generated.
Yeah.
And so the difference is there is no pretense. This is all. And so when you see the images and things on social media that are far right or far left leaning and trying to stir up anger, those are all
that's the
generated.
dangerous part, isn't it? That's where this is good. Okay. The dangerous part is this can very easily be weaponized.
Absolutely. And that's so frightening. The fact that by the time we get to the next presidential election cycle, you will not be able to believe anything you see on the internet. Not that you can now, but it's going to be even less likely that you're going to see a video, you're going to see content, you're going to see images, and those are going to be phony. And people are going to get riled up and blame the other side of the political aisle and pitchforks and burning the castle, kind of storming everybody, and it's all phony.
We got to take a quick break. We'll check traffic. We'll check your money now. We will continue with Haggai Davis, or maybe he's AI generated. We don't know. That's next.
By the way, I'm sure yesterday for the notable birthdays, y'all did mention William Shakespeare, Lee Majors, and me, right?
No. It's your birthday yesterday?
Dang it. Yeah. Well, happy belated birthday, Haggai.
Thank you. I didn't get to listen to the show yesterday. I was in early meetings and stayed that way all day. So
man.
I would have put that in the chat, but
definitely.
I know you would have, but I mean that's yes,
indeed.
So you probably want to bring up the story about the guy who used an AI avatar in court with bronze.
Okay.
I mean, that was this guy in an appeals court generates an AI video because he's not a good speaker. He doesn't feel like he can do it. So he creates this bot, this generative video to present he was representing himself. He's not an attorney.
Yeah.
And the judge said, "Wait a minute, is that real?" "Oh no, judge, I don't speak well, so I wasn't trying to fool the court or anything. I just wanted to make a compelling argument, and this can do it better than I." Did not go well.
Wouldn't imagine so. We're way long, aren't we? Yeah.
The other fun story is that Grok AI, the the
Created by
LLM,
Twitter. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
says Elon Musk is the top misinformation spreader. His own bot is saying he's a misinformation spreader.
Yeah. Which, by the way, he's going to have a hard time taking over the world when he's resigning his post from Doge. Like, if he was supposed to be this super evil genius, then why is he stepping down?
Because Tesla's stock fell 71%.
I think it's the other way around. Tesla stock fell 71% because he did Doge. It's like, it's not.
He's not focusing on his core product.
It's not about his focus, though. It's about public perception.
Either way.
And
you jump out of your lane, you're going to get run over.
Well, I don't think he jumped out of his lane. I think he looked to step up and try to serve. We all need an enemy.
Part of the problem is people still haven't forgiven him for what he did to Twitter.
Which Twitter's exactly the same as it was. There is zero difference in it today versus when he bought it.
There's a lot less people on it now.
Not noticeably. Unless the people who left Twitter did so because he's perceived to be the villain, and he didn't change anything on Twitter. Like, my feed, you got to toggle between what they want for you versus what you're following. That's the only difference that there is that if I'm following who I'm following, then I have noticed no change. So I'm saying the changes aren't based off of his actions. They're based off the actions of others. Those who have left, he didn't kick them off. That's 652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo for a few more minutes. All right. By the way, top of the hour, we will reset that forecast for you. We'll bring it back in house to do that after we check ABC News. All right, Haggai. The 5 things you shouldn't tell ChatGPT. Let's dig in.
Okay, so the backstory on this is ChatGPT and all of the large language models, they hallucinate and they leak information.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you're talking to your ChatGPT because you wanted to start building a profile on you so it can help you remember things, your information sometimes winds up in other people's feeds on ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give them any of your personal identity information, your social security and driver's license, passport numbers, your home address, date of birth, things like that. Do not give ChatGPT that information.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you certainly don't want to give it any of your medical history.
Okay, pause right there.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between medical history and medical search.
Correct.
And that was my biggest takeaway here was it says confidentiality is a core value in healthcare to prevent discrimination and embarrassment, but chatbots are typically not part of the special protection given to health data. That should be understood, right?
Correct.
Okay. If you're tempted to ask AI to interpret lab work, crop an image, or edit the document before uploading, try to keep it just to the test results and redact it, is what the advice is. But
if you don't want to go in and say, my doctor said I should have a lobotomy, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That's not the way to ask ChatGPT about a lobotomy.
But the number of times people ask their Siri or Alexa or whatever to diagnose something. That's different.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hey, my friend said they've got whatever diagnosis. What does that mean? Okay, that's not about you at this point. So there's different ways of asking those kinds of questions.
Right.
Just if you're going to have these conversations, because ChatGPT is going to build a profile about you. Oh, Haggai's doctor says he needs a lobotomy. So that means if he needs a lobotomy, well, then what else goes with the lobotomy? And so now all of a sudden it's building more information, and then it starts leaking this information out, and now everyone hears that, oh, wait, Haggai's more of an idiot than everyone thought. He needs a lobotomy. What's wrong with him?
Right.
And while people have said that about me, no doctor has said it, just to be official.
Just keeping it clear. Keeping it clear.
Absolutely. You also don't want to get into any of your financials with ChatGPT. Do not try and store your financial information inside of the ChatGPT profile that you're building. So, hey, ChatGPT, here's my information where all my investments are. Remember this, so when I go back to talk to my broker next time, I can bring it up.
Right.
Not a good idea, people. And then especially if you use ChatGPT in a corporate setting, if you have a professional account,
Mm-hmm.
do not put all of your financials into ChatGPT so that, hey, for the upcoming board meeting, I need to have all this information available. Or I need you to build a report back on our corporate financials so I can give the report to the board. Not a good place to do that.
All right. Since we're on that note, let's stick with that, because what feeds ChatGPT other than my questions and my searches? It's pulling from a lot of other places as well. So when we talk about not feeding ChatGPT with corporate information, anything proprietary, anything financial, anything medical history, when we're talking about that, it's not just when you call on your digital assistant. It's in a lot of places.
Absolutely. So let's say I'm Haggai Incorporated, and I've got a board meeting coming up with I build out this profile. Now, if somebody else does a search on Haggai Incorporated, what is the financial history of Haggai Incorporated? ChatGPT knows, oh, look, Haggai put this information out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's the information that you need to know. And it's real easy for that to happen that way. Now, if you're using a large language model that's behind your firewall, that is exclusively, the content is not available to the open internet, that's different.
Right.
But if you're just going to the free ChatGPT or the paid version of ChatGPT that's out there, you put in information like that, it knows it, it learns it, and it's saying, oh, well, this is information.
Like let's say you work for a bank.
Sure.
And you are putting together a presentation for your board on your goals for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And including those goals for the next year might be the purchase or a takeover of a different bank. And that other bank doesn't, they're not brought in the loop yet.
They don't know they're a target.
These are next year's plans.
Right.
And you're telling like Copilot or something, okay, take these bullet point goals and put them into a presentation that I can present to the board.
Yes.
Once you've done that, boom, that Pandora's box is open now.
That's right. You work for Bank A and you're targeting Bank B.
Right.
Somebody searches, hey, tell me about Bank B. Oh, well, Bank A is actually interested in buying Bank B.
Right.
Really? Wait, who said that?
Right. Nobody said it out loud.
No.
But somebody said it trying to put together, to make things nice and neat.
It's that easy for information to go sliding out the side door.
Right. So going back to the medical part, like, because asking for a medical diagnosis is one of the most frequent things you see on the internet, right? It's, you
Dr. Google. Yes.
Right. Yeah. What are the symptoms of plantar fasciitis? Like that you're going to find that everywhere. Okay. But like when you get, like, let's say you get some kind of test results back and you're trying to map out the rest of your day, going to ChatGPT, going to Copilot or somebody or something like that, saying, build me out a weekly diet to keep my strength up during chemo. Like that. Now that's part of the equation when you're Googled.
Absolutely. And so somebody searches, hey, tell me about Brian Haldane. Oh, Brian's actually going through chemo right now.
I'm not, by the way.
No.
The
last thing you don't want to do is put any of your login information.
Shouldn't that be a given?
You would think, but
He's Haggai Davis. That's a cup of tech gumbo. You get your full serving Saturdays and Sundays right here on Talk 107.3 FM or wherever you get your podcasts. Always appreciate it.
You bet.
Here comes news, traffic, and we'll update that weather in just a minute on Talk 107.3.
Okay, Troy was right. Tesla's profits fell 71%, not its stock price. Yeah, this is a fun show this week. Actually, both segments.
Oh yeah, there was a lot to dig in on. It was tech heavy, to be sure. There wasn't a lot of there weren't a lot of the fun one-offs.
Yeah. Google being held a monopoly.
So that's a topic in and of itself.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you about that. Do we want to do that as its own thing?
Yeah, because there's so much there. I mean, if the judge comes back and says you've got to sell off a portion of something,
Mhm.
well, okay, you got Google search and Google Chrome and Gmail and Maps and now Gemini and all of these things that Google puts out there for free that everybody uses on a day-to-day basis. Daily, how many times do you use Google products? And so
all the time.
Absolutely. So the judge says, "Oh, you got to sell Chrome." How do you sell Chrome? And okay, let's say they sell Chrome, but Microsoft buys it or OpenAI buys it. Well, Microsoft owns half of OpenAI, so Microsoft is de facto buying it.
Right.
Well, what good did you do? You sold Chrome from one monopoly to another.
Right.
I mean, don't sell it to a monopoly. Who's going to be able to afford to buy Chrome? That's not a tech giant.
I mean, it kind of depends on yes, exactly. It's going to be a tech giant who probably is already a competitor. Nobody's dabbling in this space.
And so when you just look at all of the tentacles that Google has wrapped around every one of us, you cut off one arm of that octopus, it's still got 7 arms around your throat.
I understand that, but as a consumer, there's nothing stopping me from using a different search engine, using a different explorer,
except for the fact that you don't, because they're so big, they're so good, they're killing out, they're blocking out anybody from really playing because they're too good. And they make it so that it's inexpensive and it's and I'm not an attorney, don't play one on radio, but when you're as good as Google is, and they are the best.
Yeah.
Are they the best because they are so strong and blocked everybody out, or are they the best because they're that good?
So I don't use Google for my mail.
I don't either.
I use Microsoft Outlook. That's built in.
And Microsoft 365.
And then there's a lot of stuff that's built into my iPhone that I assume is owned by Apple and not Google.
Oh, by the way, and we forgot about Android, which is on 80% of the phones in the world.
Right.
So.
Well, but when you start broadening things out to the world, what kind of jurisdiction does this court have?
Only the U.S.
Right. So what is worldwide is of no relevance to them.
And so if Google sells to themselves in Ireland,
mm-hmm.
Sorry, court. Oh, sure, we'll sell off to.
Okay, I'll do it. Yeah. All right, grabbing a look at that forecast real quick. We do have rain throughout the rest of the day, on and off. Should be scaling back for the remainder of your morning drive. Expect some more showers as the morning wears on. But the sun's going to poke its head out around 9 a.m. and stick around till a little bit after noon. Now, 1 o'clock, look for a 60% chance of more thunderstorms. Look for that to stick around until about 4 o'clock when that scales back on into the evening. Now, we got a high of 84 today and a low tonight of 68. Tomorrow we'll get up to 85. We are looking at a 60% chance of rain tomorrow. Looking ahead to Saturday, high of 88, Sunday, high of 90, Monday, high of 90, Tuesday, high of 90, and then it looks like another possibility of rain midweek next week. Right now, we do have heavy thunderstorms, and it's 72 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. All right.
Have a great day.
You do the same, sir. Stay dry out there. It's the only way to live, right? Oh, when Jeff Landry comes in, tie or no tie? Lean the twist tie. 7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. We got a power hour going for the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Okay, every donation to Dreams Come True, go to talk1073.com, look for the Dreams Come True tab. Okay, every donation made this hour that ends in a 73, like $10.73 is in 107.3, or anywhere upwards of that. Okay, anything that ends in a 7.3, you are entered to win 4 VIP wristbands to tomorrow evening's Live After 5 concert. Live After 5, downtown Baton Rouge, Roar Plaza. Fat Hat's going to be performing. Yours truly will be handling emceeing duties. What do you get with the VIP area? Well, food and drink is the long and the short of it. I mean, if you're heading out to Roar Plaza, look, a lot of folks pack an ice chest and bring their big tailgating chairs. You get a little bit of elbow room, get a little bit of something to eat for dinner, and the beverages are provided as well. So if you want to be entered to win 4 VIP bracelets for tomorrow's Live After 5, all hour long, we're taking your donations at talk1073.com. All right. Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting in our next segment. I Care later this hour. State Representative John Wyble later this hour. Governor Jeff Landry next hour. Author Jeffrey Marx next hour. We are loaded for bear. It's time to just start the wind sprint that is the remainder of the show, and that begins with Top Stories and Trending.
Number 5.
Grabbing this one from the Louisiana Illuminator. LSU Provost Roy Haggerty, the highest-ranking academic administrator on campus, will be leaving the university. Haggerty is the 3rd high-profile departure from LSU this year.
Number 4.
For the first time in 5 years, Louisiana has more jobs than it did before the COVID-19 pandemic. This, according to the first quarter 2025 economic dashboard that was released on Tuesday by the newly formed Leaders for a Better Louisiana. Jobs were up 1.1% over the past year, up 2.2% over the past 2 years. The state currently has about 4,100 more jobs than it did in February of 2020.
Number 3.
East Baton Rouge Metro Council signed off on Mayor President Sid Edwards' plan outlining the handoff of tax revenue and oversight of services from the city parish to the city of St. George. The agreement passed on a 10-2 vote. Darrell Hurst and Cleve Dunn voted against it. They said the plan was incomplete. Now St. George is going to have to vote on this at their council meeting. And then come July 1st, the city will have control over their own assets. They'll pick up about $17 million worth of sales tax revenue dating back to July 1st of last year. And then starting this July, they will collect their own 2% sales tax.
Number 2.
A deputy warden from Dixon Correctional Institute has been promoted to the head of the Elaine Hunt Correctional Center. State Department of Public Safety and Corrections announced the promotion of Keith Turner and the official retirement of former warden Tim Hopper yesterday.
Number 1.
The Louisiana Supreme Court said yesterday that an East Baton Rouge Parish judge previously suspended for violating a number of judicial guidelines can return to the bench this summer. 4 justices agreed to a settlement negotiated by Judge Ebony Johnson Rose. 4 judges at a disciplinary panel. Ebony Johnson Rose and the disciplinary panel came to the agreement. 3 judges wanted a harsher penalty. Hotline, please hold. All right, John, what you got?
Well, President Donald Trump said this week that he has no plans to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, reversing what was believed to be his earlier position. So,
does that mean that that's
You're
the
fired,
kiss of that? I was
but
going to
not
say,
really.
keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I just, you remember that scene in Goodfellas when Tommy thought he was getting made?
Yeah, well.
They opened the door to that room.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, is this it? Is that what it feels like?
I don't know. Coming up next hour, Jerome Powell's actually going to be. No, I'm just kidding.
If we had room for him today.
Man.
I don't, who would I bump for Jerome Powell today?
Ooh, that'd be tough.
I'm not bumping Jeffrey Marks.
No.
Not bumping the governor. Not bumping John Wyble.
Maybe some other time.
Squeeze him in
Because
for the
today,
outside
yeah.
in,
Outside in.
which we're not even doing today.
Yeah, I know. I looked at the notes. I was like, oh, man. But hey, good for him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he still has a job. Was this just one of those things? Anyway, food manufacturers may have to find new dyes after the Food and Drug Administration announced Tuesday it would phase out the use of petroleum-based synthetic dyes by the end of next year.
I hate this so much. I understand it. I understand the health benefits of it,
Of
but I'm
course.
also a believer in all things in moderation, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're not going to be able to taste the rainbow anymore.
No. But you know who will? Joe Exotic. Because Mr. Joseph
Maldonado
Passage,
Passage.
a.k.a. the Tiger King, has tied the knot with George Marquez.
Jorge.
Jorge.
Is that Jorge?
I don't know. But
Anyway.
both men are serving time in prison, Brian.
Can
And-
we get a new Joe Exotic TV show?
Oof,
Like, remember how Tiger King took the world by storm?
behind bars. With
And this,
Tiger
by
King.
the way, Tiger King took the world by storm after he announced he was running for president.
Exotic, and today this is not going out to any kind of a presidential candidate or any politician. The purpose of this video today is to let you know who I am. First thing is, I am not cutting my hair. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a suit. I am gay. I've had 2 boyfriends most of my life. I currently got legally married. Thank God. It's finally legal in America.
What
I've had
a
some kinky
train
sex.
wreck of a
I
guy.
have tried drugs through the younger years of my life. I am broke-ish. I have a judgment against me from some down there in Florida, but I can tell you I paid a fine with the USDA, and that is nothing but a civil fine, ladies and gentlemen. That does not mean that I was accused or convicted of any kind of animal cruelty thing. I built one of the biggest facilities and the nicest facilities for exotic animals in this country as far as a private individual goes. I'm Joe Exotic, and don't forget, I am now stepping my foot in the ring to run for president. And this is
Unreal.
all paid for
And
by
that was
committee.
all before Tiger King was even on Netflix. I mean, we all fell in love with Tiger King reluctantly.
Goodness.
We all that all happened during COVID when we had nothing to do but watch Netflix and drink. And oh man, you know who I felt bad the worst for
Who?
throughout all the Tiger King stuff? Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
Remember the pharmacist
Mm.
that like semi-paranoid pharmacist from Chalmette, from the parish. That documentary was
Oh,
hot for
man.
like a week,
Yeah.
and then Tiger King just kicked everybody out.
Joe Exotic.
Yep.
Not the president we want. But maybe the one we need.
You're not even on mic right now. I can't even hear
I'm
you.
on my. I don't want to say it too loud, Brian.
Well, I mean,
No,
he's
but it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
okay. I'm throwing this out there. Can we give Joe Exotic another Netflix show based off of him falling in love and getting married
No.
in prison?
Do we really want to see that though?
Not all of it.
No.
Not all of it. But you know there would be a lot of fun parts. Let me know over on Facebook Live. We are live on Facebook every morning. Hop in the chat, courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. Although I don't think the folks at Lake Urgent Care want anything to do with this discussion. So I'm going to have to find another tease later on. Right now, let's take a break. Come back and talk with Jason DeCuir next. Whew. That's Jason. Hotline. Hello? Is that Jason? Is it Megan? Hotline. Yes? Hey, Blake. I'm okay. What was your last name? Are you my guest this morning, or do I have Jason? No sweat. Okay, spell your last name for me, just so I know I have it right. D-E-S, okay. And give me a couple bullet points so I'll know where to take the conversation. Okay. Okay. All right, we're coming in right now. Hang tight. Ordes. O-R-D-E-S. 717 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right. Every week at about this time, we check in with the folks from Advantis Consulting to get an update on the legislative session. And for that, we are turning to Blake Ordes this morning. Blake, good morning. Welcome to Talk 1073. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Brian?
Doing very well as well. All right, let's dig in. We got a little over a week. We're a little over a week into the session at this point, week and a half roughly. If you count Monday, if you count last Monday, which is, just roll call. If you count last Monday, it's we're almost 2 weeks in. So a lot of priorities this session. Of course, it's a fiscal session, so budget's a big priority. Insurance is a big priority, but so is rebuilding Constitutional Amendment 2, which failed at the polls back in March. Can we start there?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're seeing right now is, like Jason had mentioned last week, multiple constitutional amendments related to the CA2 that failed to pass back in March. Mm-hmm. So we have the big bill, which would be HB 472, and that's the one that most resembles the last one that was at the ballot. So it's the very long 130-page bill that has basically a slimmed down version of what was in there. And then we have the, breakout or piecemeal constitutional amendments that have been filed since that tackle certain parts. So like the inventory tax that Jason had mentioned, and then the severance tax piece as well. So they're all still moving through. So at this time, it's still unclear where we're going to head with that.
Let's start with HB 472, because if it's a rewrite of what Constitutional Amendment 2 last time was, what's different about it? What makes it more appealing this time? And we're not just, spinning our wheels.
Yeah, so great question. There are a few differences. So the big one that I think most voters will like as well is that it no longer removes certain property tax exemptions from the Constitution and places them into statute. So I think back when they were doing all the advertisements, a lot of people were upset about things such as nonprofit organizations, their property tax exemptions being moved to statute. So that's one thing that is no longer in HB 472. They've left all of that alone. And then similarly, like we see a few other things, such as like they added a prohibition on property tax on prescription drugs. So just a few things here and there, perhaps the less controversial things.
Interestingly enough, in making the changes, that actually made it longer. One of the complaints was it was 115 pages, and now Julie Emerson goes back to the drawing board, comes out at 130.
Yes, I noticed that. I was reading through it, and I was a little confused, but it is, I guess, technically a slimmed down version. Perhaps the digest might be longer. But yeah.
We're talking with Blake Ordez from Advantis Consulting about how to make up the ground that is potentially lost when CA2 failed at the polls back in March. There was a lot of talk afterwards that they would break this thing down into chunks. Wouldn't breaking it down into chunks mean breaking it into individual bills and therefore having multiple constitutional amendments come up in front of us again?
Yes. So while that makes it sound almost worse, but it actually would be easier for readers to go through. So instead of that paragraph in the ballot that says, reducing the teacher's pay raise debt and the stuff related to the 65 and older, it would then break down every single piece of it. So it would have its own amendment for the teacher pay raise. It would have its own amendment for the inventory tax stuff and then the severance tax stuff as well. So it would actually be a lot more clarity for readers when at the ballot.
It would allow us as voters to be a little more a la carte about it as well, because if it goes to the ballot on different constitutional amendments, now granted, I hate having 8 constitutional, 9 constitutional amendments every fall. I'm one that prefers it to be condensed like this. That's what a representative republic is. We've voted for them to represent us. I don't need to vote on every little thing that gets, sneezed upon. But if that's the way we come out and say we want it, we would rather be able to pick and choose. Are there other bills out there that kind of do that more, piecemeal?
Other bills related to CA2? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, we did have there's one on severance tax. That would be its own constitutional amendment that was in the original CA2. And then we do have the teacher pay raise portion in its own constitutional amendment. And there's a couple other pieces. So I don't know how much you've spoken about the government growth limit. So this would be the budgetary part of CA2. So that was all broken into its own amendment.
I have not talked about that at all. Feel free, roll with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the government growth limit essentially, it limits spending on, it limits the spending budget to growth factors such as like population changes, inflation changes. Mm-hmm. So just another budgetary bill that could add to their spending, the revenue spending later on.
We're talking with Blake Ordez from Advantis Consulting about the ongoing legislative session. The popularity of these, when you break them down individually, it's they get correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but they garner a lot less attention, but they get a lot more popular. Is that about accurate?
I think so.
Which ones do you think are going to roll? I mean, what are we looking at that's going to be popular enough to make it across the finish line?
So I mean, that's really hard to say, but I certainly think the teacher pay raise one will. So that is its own constitutional amendment to repeal certain funds in order to make a very large payment into the teachers' retirement system, which would pay down their retirement debt and give them a permanent raise. It's teachers and school support staff. So that one, I certainly think would catch the public's eye.
We got a couple minutes left with Blake. What else are you keeping an eye on in this early stages of the session?
Yeah, so we're also seeing some more uniformity efforts in this session. We did see a little bit of that try to pass back in November, but it was unable to. So, for example, we see a bill by let's see, Representative Boyer, and this would require any new taxing statutes or tax exemptions, exclusions, etc., to be applicable to both state and locals. So that's just another uniformity measure that we're seeing. And then similar to that, we're also seeing one representative or two representatives had filed bills to restore the locals vendor comp. That I think that was accidentally removed back in the special session. But one of them had just went through the House, and they actually capped the rate and the cap on the monthly payment to be the same as the state and the same parish wide. So again, another uniformity measure.
The local spender, what?
It's called locals vendor compensation. So
explain that for us. What does that do?
Yeah, so dealers who collect and remit taxes are allowed to keep a percentage, and that is set by ordinance in each parish. So it's a small percentage. I believe that it would now be. I don't have my notes up on it, but it's just a small percentage as compensation for collecting and remitting the sales tax to the parishes. So we do have one with the state as well. So when you're filing your return, there's a little box for it, and it would apply to the amount, the percentage. But there is a cap on it for how much monthly. So what they did is they set the cap as the same as the state, and then this would also set the cap as the same across the parishes. So like I said, another uniformity measure for local businesses.
We got just a minute or two left with Blake Ordez from Advantis Consulting. I want to back up to the remaking of Constitutional Amendment 2 here, Blake. Just give me your gut take on this. I know we're early in the session, and I know even after the session it's going to come back to us at the polls. But do you think a redo of CA2 is doable? Do you think that, I mean, just us as a populace, are we buying it?
I think that with the right education, that the public could certainly vote in favor of it. I think that's all I can say on it right now. It is really hard to say this early on.
Yeah, I know, because it's starting at 130 pages, and you know it's going to go through the process, right? You know it's going to get amended, and amendments don't shorten things ever. And one of the bigger takeaways was, oh, it's too long. And I get it. I understand. But at the same time, though, is if you want real reformation, if you want real change, sometimes those things get wordy in order to get them done right.
Yeah. Now, I do think that after what happened in March, that opened a lot of people's eyes that maybe, hey, we need to start reading into this and like actually looking into this with all the advertisements talking about this. So maybe that will help as well. A lot of people do publications on what's in there. So educating the public and having the public actually look into what they're voting on and have an opinion on it.
We will follow it along the way. In the meanwhile, I greatly appreciate the time, Blake. Thank you so much for hopping on board.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You too. 728 coming up on 729 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. I need to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. That's V as in Vinny. VexEuropean.com is the website. If you drive a European vehicle, let me let you in on this, okay? You bought that European vehicle for performance and longevity. If you want to make the best of both of them, you need an extraordinary mechanic. You need someone who is expert level in your make of vehicle. Not just somebody who knows cars, someone who knows your make of vehicle. If you drive a Mercedes-Benz, you want a Mercedes tech. Go to VexEuropean.com, hit the little drop-down tab that says vehicles. If you see yours on there, hit the little tab that says appointments. And it doesn't have to be major repair that we're talking about here. I'll be over at Vex European later on this week just for an oil change. Why? Because everything that I do with my car, I want them knowing so that they can follow it and know my car's history, know my car's life. The same way my doctor has my chart, Vinny and his team over at Vex European, they've got the same on my vehicle. VexEuropean.com. Thanks again to Blake Ordez from Advantis Consulting for hopping on board. It was difficult to get the conversation started because we were having a little bit of connectivity problems there. I don't think she was hearing me the whole way, and I know I wasn't hearing her the whole way. But once we got rolling, It's going to be a great conversation to have. And we are going to have that conversation with State Representative Julie Emerson because she's the one that wrote CA2. She's the one writing this bill. The biggest takeaway from me, this is layperson takeaway, and I know Blake is an absolute expert at what she does. But the biggest layperson takeaway from me is how do you go from 115 pages to 130 and call that shorter? The other takeaway, and I wasn't going to drag Blake into this at all, but when you go back to the drawing board on Constitutional Amendment 2, if you want to do it all one fell swoop, if you want to do this one fell swoop, then you have to start picking apart what's your next excuse. This is why you said no last time. What's your next excuse? Because last time they weren't reasons. They were excuses. That's a hill I'm going to continue to die on. It's 7:30. News, traffic, weather. Crimestoppers next. I'm going to put on my tie. Hello, come on in. I need to go put my tie on. Well, we went from it being a regular workspace. Did you want to grab a picture first? Let's do that. Well, what picture? That's my logo. Yes. Yes. There we go.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Yes. Don sent them to me like 3 months ago. He said, "Hang on to these. You're gonna need them one day." And fortunately, didn't know.
Did you feel the knife in my back there? Oh my goodness! Did you get the questions? Because there was one time there was a glitch with the system, but somebody got blamed.
This is Don. We call him the system. Yeah. Born and raised. What position? Oh wait, I gotta do weather. All right, we're looking at the back end of the showers for this morning, but we are not done for the day, y'all. It is going to rain again this afternoon. 60 to 70% chance of rain throughout as we get. Oh, no, you know what? I say we're done for the morning. We're done with the thunder part of it. You're still going to catch some rain throughout this hour and next hour. Now, come around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock up in that region. We will have more rain to come. Overnight hours, it should clear back out again. Tomorrow, we are looking at another 60% chance of rain. Then Saturday and Sunday, we should be good to go. High today of 82, high tomorrow of 85, high on Saturday of 88, and then we're in the 90s for the next couple days after that. Right now, heavy thunderstorms, 72 in downtown Baton Rouge. Nothing. Hang on. I need just a second. You'll hear it right here. 737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Programming note. The governor has run into some scheduling problems this morning, so he's going to have to call in. Not going to be in studio. I know. So yeah, we were looking forward to that. But anyway, we will still have all the content. We will still have the conversation, but Governor Jeff Landry coming up via phone at 8:15. Right now, it's time for Crimestoppers. And roughly once a month, the folks at Crimestoppers hand things off to the folks at iCare, and that's what we're doing today. Welcoming back.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You've been here a couple times, if I'm not mistaken. Aaron Bradford, director of the iCare Prevention Program. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well as well. All right. Let's start with for those that don't remember, let's start with the reintroductions. Who you are, why you're here.
So I'm Aaron Pusher Bradford. I'm the director of the iCare program. We're a prevention program, substance use and abuse, and violence prevention program in East Baton Rouge Parish school system.
So let's start with prevention. Obviously not a new word, but never loses its importance. So let's talk about what prevention means today.
So prevention is about making healthy choices, just talking to kids about decision making, considering choices, about just, talking things out, trying to figure out how to have, healthy conversations with young people. But one of the things we want to do is really just help our kids to have better reactions. And, we're trying to combat some of the violence in our community. So trying to prevent those things from happening.
I would say better reactions. a little vague.
Yeah,
A little vague.
yeah.
Let's dive in there a little bit more, because we want, like you said, nonviolent conflict resolution, right?
Right.
That's the goal here. How do we get there?
Well, I think just communication, talking it out. One of our problems is social media. How do you navigate social media? How do you navigate conversations and de-escalating situations and not escalating them?
Right.
So I think communication is key.
Mhm.
Communication is key, and teaching our young people how to talk to each other, because they're not used to having face-to-face conversations and learning how to talk to each other.
There's truth in that though, right? Like
Mhm.
nothing makes me want to punch someone more than the internet.
Right.
I get it, but you don't.
Right.
So walking through that, you've got a captive audience all school year long. However, school year's almost over.
Right.
So let's talk. Parents should be in charge the whole time,
Mhm.
but it's more in their hands, more time on their hands, to be sure, moving forward. So how do we keep the lessons learned throughout the school year going through the summer?
Well, there are numerous opportunities in our community for summer camps, summer programming. We're out and about it. We're at different camps. We have one camp at Glen Oaks Park. We are embedded in the Gardere Initiative camp, but we're doing presentations and just basically reiterating what we've spoke to them about in the schools throughout our summer camps.
How do you keep it from dropping off? I mean, even with summer camps, I mean, there's a lot more room for outside noise. Does that sound right?
Yes, and kids are free during the summer.
Yeah.
So they're running around, they're with their friends. But we just hope that we've made such an impact throughout the year.
Mhm.
We put out, information on our web pages. We have informationals with parents, and we're just hoping that we've made such an impact throughout the year that they remember those messages that we are putting out.
We've got Aaron Bradford in with us, the director of the Eye Care Prevention Program. All right, let's keep on the path with the summer fun there. The opportunities that Eye Care is offering for student engagement, and just walk us through the summer schedule.
So like I said, we are going to be at Glen Oaks Park for the month of June. And then we'll be at the Gardere Initiative for the entire summer.
So at Glen Oaks for the month of June, is this just day camp type of thing?
It's a day camp.
How do we go about, getting involved?
You can call the Eye Care office 226-2273 for more information on that camp. And we're just doing it during the month of June.
Mhm. And then go to July with Gardere, you said?
July. Well, the rest of the summer it will be Gardere Initiative.
Okay.
And then we'll be at several camps. Big Buddy, True Light. There are several like church camps and that are different organizations that have asked us to come out and do presentations. So we'll be out and about. But if a student needs us or a parent needs us, they can always call the office 226-2273, and we have people readily available to connect with students in different ways that we could help out.
We're going to get off completely off track here for just a second, because I want to walk through a couple of scenarios. When it comes to communication, when it comes to those better outcomes and whatnot, how does the game change during the summer? Do the scenarios change during the summer versus during the school year? Is it walk me through a couple of examples of, like, whether you like it or not, you're in a classroom full of kids all school year long, right?
Right.
That separation that happens over the summer, how does that change the narrative? How does that change how they interact when they are together?
So in the summertime, I feel like I said, I think, kids are with their friends.
Yeah.
They're hanging out. They're going to more parties. I think it's just a little more free.
Mhm.
And I think the conversation changes because there's no true structure during the summer, which leaves a lot of room for lots of decisions that need to be made. And, just encouraging young people to think through what they're doing, not just at the party, not just with their friends, but on social media, on
Yeah.
all the things they do, because those things can come back.
How hard is that to teach, that social media is written in ink?
It's really hard.
You know?
It's really hard because that's all they do all
Yeah.
day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine it's a two-sided coin over the summertime, because number one, there's so much more free time and so much more, opportunity for things to go awry. But at the same time, though, they're not constricted to the classroom, so that they don't have to be there.
That's right.
There's a greater opportunity to walk away, reconvene at another time. Does that play into it?
No, it's true, and that is what you said earlier about parents, and that's when parents should be monitoring. That's when parents should be talking to their kids. But we talk to parents early on in the year, throughout the year, saying, "Hey, develop a relationship with your child and know who their friends are. You
Mhm.
know what they're doing, know who they're out with. So there's some monitoring. There's a monitoring piece for parents that's really important during the summer because kids are under their watch."
We've got a couple minutes left with Aaron Bradford, director of the Eye Care Prevention Program. Um, let's stick with the parents for just a second. How good or how bad are parents at being able to teach these lessons themselves? At previous generations, I'd be lying if I said I never got into a fight in school either.
Right.
So how do you run into problems with parents that want to do things in their own manner? I mean, is it you see where I'm going? I'm trying to say it without saying it, but the previous generation kind of sucks in this regard. So how does that contribute to the difficulties you have in your job?
I think it's really hard because, especially when our kids become teenagers, you have to navigate that, a teenager. And I think these parents kind of want to be friends with their kids sometimes. And then they have a hard time having these conversations, and even restricting them from doing some of this social media and drinking. And so I think that it's really hard for parents. It's really hard for us because we're having to talk to them about making healthy choices when we have parents who are contributing to some of the choices that are being made.
See, that walks us up to getting us back on path now. That walks us up to the longevity that Eye Care's had in this. We're talking 42 years worth here. So it's quite possible a lot of the parents that are dealing with their kids now have gone through this on the Eye Care end when they were kids as well. So what do you there's got to be some level of, I don't want to say patting yourself on the back, but there's built-in success here.
There is. There really is. A lot of people remember us from 40 years ago. And I think that we're valued in the community as a prevention program. But the sad part is we're just as important today as we were 40 years ago. Yes.
But
Not
well,
more.
but it's because the game changes along with it. I mean, it's got to be difficult to measure success on a day-to-day basis, or hell, on a year-to-year basis, because there's new, I don't want to say adversaries, but there's new variables in the equation. There's new, like 42 years ago, there was no social media. When Eye Care started down this path, you weren't trying to teach kids how to have decorum online and in real life.
That's right.
And it's just the 42 years ago, there were no vapes in school. Like it's all so different now.
Very true.
How do you take all that accumulation and map it into the future? What's next for the program?
Well, the way that we do that is we assess where we are. We have great relationship with law enforcement who help us to stay abreast of the trends that are out there, the drugs and the violence that's going on. That's why Crimestoppers is such a great partner for us because they help, the law enforcement helps us to understand what's going on. But yeah, we measure success by data, and every year it changes. Like you said, our variables change, our outcomes change, and then we reassess every year.
Yeah. You mentioned Crimestoppers. Got to mention the partnership. Got to mention the poster contest.
For sure.
When is it? What's it all about?
So we just had our poster contest for Crimestoppers, and we are just grateful for Crimestoppers because they have been a long partner of Eye Care, and we support them. They support us, but it helps us to just encourage our students if they see something to say something, and know that Crimestoppers is out there and that they can report at any given time.
And at any given time is the important thing there, because as the school year ends, the life continues to go on. So that any given time, it continues into the summer as well. She is Erin Bradford, director of the Eye Care Prevention Program. I greatly appreciate a couple minutes. No, thank you as well.
If you need us, please call us at 226-2273. Eye Care.
226-2273.
Yes.
Got it done right there. Coming up on 750 at Talk 1073 FM WBRP, we're going to take a quick break. We will check your money now. We will check traffic. Then State Representative John Wyble in studio next. He's going to stick around with us for 2 segments. We got him next, and to start off the 8 o'clock hour, which means we're skipping this day in history. So, again, my apologies to Danny and his team over at 5 Star Printing and Signs. 5 Star brings you this day in history every day. So let Danny know you don't like us skipping it by calling him at 271-4096. And oh, by the way, he can help you out with your business cards, your printing, your signs, anything you need. 5 Star Printing and Signs.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You do the same.
It's good seeing you today. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Just get you a partner and call me when you're there. Don't do anything else for that.
Okay. All right, we'll do.
Your guys here. Buddy, you look sharp.
Okay. So nice. And they did in the GP. Gordon does so much NIL work. Did it have water in it? I got my big jug. Hey, come on in. We got to start.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
How you doing?
Doing well, sir. Good. 755 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right. We got a lot going on next hour. We got Governor Jeff Landry at 8:15. He'll be on the hotline. He won't be in studio. We got author Jeffrey Marx coming up next hour as well. Part of the One Book, One Community program. He's got a big thing coming up on Sunday. He's going to join us at 8:35. We get John Wyble was scheduled for 8:05, and I said, you know what? Let's get a running start. Let's get you in before the top of the hour so that we'll start, we'll break, we'll come back. All right?
Sounds great.
John Wyble's in with us. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. Wait, we're barely 2 weeks in. Are you losing your voice?
No,
Okay.
I feel like there's some pollen issue or
There's
something
a
going
lot.
on because
Yeah.
yesterday I was struggling.
Well, it's like kids always get sick the second week of school because you're around
Right.
all the new germs and whatnot. But y'all are around all the new germs right now. So.
Right. And I spent last weekend with my little grands in Florida. So
really mixing it up. I was out at the Capitol yesterday. I love the beginning of a session. I was out there yesterday. It was LSU day, so I wanted to roam around the lobby, the
Memorial Hall.
yes,
Yeah.
and just kind of check in with the different booths. But you can't help but be like a moth to the flame. Just be attracted to all the energy that goes into the beginning of a session.
Right.
And you are part of the class of 23. And y'all, just baptism by fire last year. You basically became a permanent Baton Rouge resident because there were so many special sessions. Where's that level of energy this year? Are y'all still at a fever pitch?
I think the fever pitch is so high that even Mike the Tiger couldn't contain himself yesterday. He had to go and make an appearance and testify on a committee that I happen to be in. But the class of 23.
Wait, stop. The costume.
Yeah.
No. We're not taking another Omar route here. No.
Oh.
I was going to say, you know how many ticked off people there would be if Mike the Tiger won't go in the stadium, but he would go in the Capitol?
There's no live tiger at the stadium.
Thank you. All right.
It was
no live tiger in the Capitol
LSU
either.
day at the.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So we had all the mascots.
Okay.
But it's pretty fun. But I've read a couple places where the class of 23, this freshman class, is the most reform-minded legislative class in the history of Louisiana. And I'd say our legislature, our energy is right where it needs to be. The fever pitch, the enthusiasm, we're right where we need to be. We know that a stronger Louisiana is right around the corner. We're keeping fighting.
And we're gonna have the governor coming up at 8:15.
Yep.
And there's a lot of alignment there as well. I think a lot of y'all's success last year and a lot of your success moving forward is based off the fact that you've got a governor who is going to sign a lot of what y'all like. There's been previous reform-minded legislatures, but they've run into brick walls on the fourth floor. Y'all have an added benefit of having, being able to row in the same direction.
I mean, you just think about the laundry list, Brian. All the things we've already reformed. Yesterday, we moved out of committee reforming Workforce Commission, child welfare, insurance, all of those great things. I mean, it's incredible. It's generational reforms. And this governor has stepped up time and time again. Hey, we want to help families who need assistance also earn and acquire gainful employment skills, work skills.
I know where you're going with this.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
The two words I've heard the most over the last 2 weeks.
One door.
Yes, everywhere.
It is incredible.
It is omnipresent right now.
It is incredible. Look, I've been a part of groups for probably over 15 years who've only dreamed of this. And now we have a governor who says, not only like, hey, let's talk about it, let's make it happen. There's so much synergy where we are. Every once in a while, there's a little difference on how we see things. But I think the energy and the vision for the Louisiana that those of us were born and raised here have just longed for is within our grasp.
All right, we're going to pause here. When we pick back up after news, traffic, and weather, we're going to dig into policy. State Representative John Wyble's with us. All right, your coffee should be ready.
The Tiger. I didn't mean to.
Well, no, anytime I can get another mile out of Omar, I'm going to. So
off the I'm actually the one who said,
Wait, hang on. Is the mic on?
no. And he's like standing at the glass door, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go take a quick selfie with him while ironically we're discussing one door, but just step out. And Mike is like, I'm like, you want to come in? And he just kind of puts his arm across me and just walks right on in into the committee. So sits at the witness table and I guess pretends to, I don't know, give his testimony or whatever. And then an infamous mic drop with a pencil as he walked out.
So good.
It really was. It really was. I'm going to grab that.
Yeah, grab that coffee.
That's going to be an interesting process.
What, Conclave? Yeah, I mean, after the movie came out, first step of Conclave is make sure everybody has a wiener. I'm sorry. Did you see the movie?
I'm not sure that I did.
Oh, well, shit. I just spoiled it.
No, that's okay. There's little chance that I will see the movie because I don't know.
You Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
It's great until it's not.
Mm.
It is such a anti-Catholic fantasy, is what it is. Once they get to the end,
that's crazy.
I had everybody in the building, like Flynn and Gordy and all them. They're like, they were all hyped to come say hello to Jeff, and I'm like, oh,
sorry. I wondered, when the weather was the way it is, just even the logistics of getting out, getting here, getting back, and then the possibility of things happening.
The thing is, we're a straight shot from. So
I think we have to talk some of our Tiger baseball fans off the ledge after the other night.
Yes, I would rather have a conversation with the head coach about why he is so scared. Okay, I know why he's scared to start and stop games because of rain. He doesn't want to lose pitching. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, when you're coming off of an SEC series, and then you've got a top 5 team in the nation coming in the next weekend, keeping their attention span through a lightning delay is damn near impossible.
Right.
Extending the lightning delay by more than an hour over what it needed to be is stupid. After you had a 30-minute lightning delay, it's required. You got to do it. But there was a chance of rain that was going to happen on the back end. So they just kept pushing back because he doesn't want to get a pitcher out there, have it rain, put him on the shelf, and have to lose him again.
Right.
Hang on one second. All right. Not done with the rain just yet. We've got more showers coming down this hour, possibly into next hour a little bit as well. After that, it should clear up for the remainder of the morning and then hit us again this afternoon. Your high today is going to get up to about 82 degrees. Overnight low only down to 68. We'll top out at 86 tomorrow. There's another 60% chance of rain tomorrow. Then looking ahead to Saturday and Sunday, it should clear out Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Looking like partly cloudy skies all 3 days. We could touch the 90s on Monday and Tuesday. Right now, we are looking at 70 degrees, and yes, there's still thunderstorms rolling through the area. But I was producing softball for the network on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Light delay started at 7:51. We resumed softball at 8:30. Finished softball at 10 minutes after 9, 13 minutes after 9. Baseball didn't resume until 9:20. If I'm a Southeastern Conference baseball player, am I really staying dialed in that whole time? No. But if I grew up my whole life loving LSU baseball and I go play for Northwestern State,
yeah,
and this is my big night now at Fox
Right.
Stadium,
Right.
huge difference.
Yeah.
'806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Normally this time we would have This Day in History presented by 5 Star Printing and Signs. Instead, we have State Representative John Wyble in with us, talking about the legislative session. It's so tough to get to everything,
Right.
because it's just, y'all got a lot of moving pieces right now.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
So I talked to my guy Danny over at 5 Star. He's here if you need him. 271-4096. You've got a graduate. You want to put that big graduate sign in the yard? He's got you covered. 271-4096. But so many moving pieces going on at the legislative session right now that we got to free up more time for y'all somewhere.
Somewhere.
Right? And I'm not doing a 4th hour, so
no.
Well, because if nothing else, y'all would already be working at that point. So
right.
Right. Let's start to dig in on a few individual bills. Do you want to start with any of yours, or do you want to go broader picture with the insurance battles going on?
Yeah, I think the insurance issue is so important, Brian. We talk about all the reforms and those great things are moving forward. But if we don't do something where our families cannot simply afford their insurance, I'm not sure how useful any of the other reforms are.
Okay. I'm glad you said it.
Yep.
Because there is a lot of agreement on both sides on a lot of different things. It's like a 80-20, maybe a 75-25, but it's in that remaining 25% that all the real difference gets done.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do we conquer that? And I realize we're all fixating on just a few individual bills, and you can say, oh, I passed 20 bills to help insurance, but without those few pivotal ones, how do we get over that hump where there's such a disagreement for so many years?
Yeah, look, I think you're absolutely right. There are a handful of bills that are critical to getting to the core problem of the issue that we're trying to solve. But the reality is, like this year, there's a package, I want to say, 40, 50 bills that all do add value to reforming insurance in Louisiana. Property insurance, automobile insurance, all the things that are modeled after other states have done. And so, yes, we do have to take many bites at the apple, if you will. But obviously, there are some critical bills in there that, there may be a little disagreement about how we get to the end result. But, as you know, this is a long process.
Yeah.
And this is part of the process.
Talk about a couple of the individual bills. Mike Mellerine, another your class of 23 there.
Yep.
He's got a bill that gets rid of the housing presumption. I'm a huge fan of this bill.
So am I.
So this feels like one that is going to make it to and across the governor's desk. Am I wrong in assuming that?
Well, listen, I'm going to be optimistic, and because I believe it. I believe the large majority of these bills are going to make it up to the 4th floor.
Okay.
I believe that the will of our people. I mean, we hear about these things you go to church, you go to the grocery, you go to a school function, wherever you want to go. There's so much discussion and focus. So I'm going to contend as of now, and you can tell me I was either right or wrong come June 12th. But I believe the majority of these are going to get through the process in a way that helps our people be able to afford insurance. But Housley, yes, one of those critical pieces, and I think it's going to help lead the way for some significant reforms for us going forward.
Housley presumption, by the way, is if you had a previous injury and you get into a car accident, as it stands right now, they can't even ask if you had the previous injury. So, like, for example, if you had as the example I've been using is, if after senior year at high school you slid into second base at Bogalusa High playing Legion ball, if I got into a car accident tomorrow, I could say, "Oh, hey, look, my bum knee is because of the car accident." When in reality, if you go to my Facebook page, you probably see me wearing a knee brace a million times. You know, that sort of thing could get cleared up. Medical transparency is going to be a little bit tougher.
Right, but I do think it's got a good opportunity to get through the process. I think that's one of those things that we can do where really we just put information out on the table and we make informed decisions. All of these are not to hinder any individual from obviously recovering and being made whole. They're just.
But what defines whole?
Well, and I think that's the critical point.
Right. To me, defining what makes me whole means the money that came out of my pocket is the money I should get back, not the money that's on some random invoice, not what could, quote unquote, could have been billed. What actually came out of my pocket makes me whole.
Yes.
And, other damages and whatnot, that's where we run into problems here, because twice as many people file medical claims in Louisiana than in other state in the nation.
Right. Right. And that's where, some of the disparity, a lot of the disparity comes from. And so I think the medical transparency piece will really help address a lot of that.
We've got 2 minutes left with State Representative John Wyble, and not going to be his last visit during this session. That's, I pester you a lot. Yeah.
Anytime. No.
I'm going to give you the open floor for these last 2 minutes. What else are you keeping an eye on that you think will make a difference?
Well, just to go back real quickly to One Door, that by Representative Baralt, that, I mentioned to a member of the governor's staff yesterday on the floor of the House, in the House chamber, I said, you may not realize it now, but 30 years from now, if we get this through, you're going to be sitting holding your grandchild in your lap, and you're going to realize how transformative this was, and you were a part of it. I think it's that important. The reorganization of child and family services.
Yes.
And my background with CASA and CACs,
of course,
and all of those things. I have a comprehensive math and numeracy reform that mirrors the literacy reforms that we've been doing in the K-3 space.
Is that on the air? I'm so sorry.
No, it's good.
We're still on Facebook Live if you want to go, because we're going to run out of time now.
It's fine.
All right. So numeracy.
But the numeracy reforms mirror the literacy reforms in the K-3 space. It made it out of House Education yesterday. It's transformative legislation. The last thing I'll say,
you're good.
I did drop a bill this week that looks at personal income tax and reductions and increasing standard deductions. My intentions in that is to really look at, as we try to phase out the personal income tax, is to look at our working poor, our lower wage earners first, so that by 2030 we could phase out income tax for those individuals making $50,000 or less, and those households or families making $150,000 or less.
Oh, wow.
Prioritize phasing out their income tax, because then it attracts young professional couples back to Louisiana. It helps us retain working families. And, as a family man, myself and you, working families, you give them the savings in income tax, they're going to spend it in sales tax because the cost of the family is so ridiculous.
100%. And that's where we're going to pick up next time. I want to talk about that bill specifically next time. He's State Representative John Wyble. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, we're about to take a break. On air, it's not going to matter because the National Weather Service is stupid. We'll be back. I am so sorry. You're good.
You know, in the group, we've been working on all these insurance reform bills. You know, we've got insurance agents, we've got attorneys, we've got all these folks. And I always say, well, I'm the consumer expert because I don't understand insurance or the legal, because I'm not an attorney and I'm certainly not an insurance agent, but I understand what it means to be a consumer in all of this. And so, when I talk about these insurance bills, I talk in terms of the consumer and what can we do to make it more affordable. But
It's yeah. And what we can do is make it more palatable for the insurance companies. And as long as the insurance companies are being vilified, Spencer Callahan has a spot. And it says something about, you want to know why insurance companies fight every claim? That's how they became big insurance. Like, it just, they vilify them as business owners or as businesses, when at the same time, though, like the governor said in his opening remarks, or no, in his press conference about it, when he introduced his insurance reform package, he mentioned, they're hiring millionaire actors to be in their commercials and whatnot. So clearly they're swimming in profits, was what he was alluding to. And I'm like, I'll remember that next time I'm watching a Pelicans game and I see Morris Barton sitting courtside.
Right.
I'll remember that next time I look out the window and see Spencer Callahan's helipad.
Right. Well, if my 2 minute, if we could have wrapped up that's okay. But my last line was going to be, and I'm sure you've heard it because a lot of us are repeating it. Lawyers aren't leaving Louisiana. Insurance companies are leaving Louisiana. And when they leave Louisiana, it impacts your pocketbook. You have fewer people competing.
Without competition, we have nothing.
Just a second. Yes, sir. No problem.
Oh, good. Oh. 817 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Told you it was a fast moving hour, and that continues right now. Our governor's on the hotline. He was supposed to be in the studio, but the weather had other plans. Governor Jeff Landry, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you doing, Brian?
I'm doing very well this morning. So as I understand it, the weather's getting in your way today?
No, I tell you, we're dealing with some localized flooding over in Lafayette and a number of areas. We're watching the weather. And so it's kind of got me stuck at the desk making some phone calls and making sure everybody's safe.
Is everybody safe?
As far as I can tell.
Okay. All right.
They got some people with a lot of water and some people that were stranded down in downtown Lafayette, and the rain is falling. And of course, it's actually still falling out there as well. It's starting to abate and then coming over to our end. But hopefully, we won't get it as intensely as they got it last night.
Yes, let's hope so. And it should continue for another hour or so here and then pick back up again this afternoon. We got Governor Jeff Landry with us. All right, let's dive in. And I'm going to leave this kind of open-ended for you, Governor. Do you want to just rapid fire everything going on in the session, or would you rather zero in on one or two topics?
Well, look, I think that the one thing that we have to fix is the insurance crisis. And of course, look, that's a crisis that's gripped not only Louisiana, but the rest of the country as well. I mean, I thought it was isolated to Louisiana, and I've traveled to some places around the country and found the places as far as Montana complaining about property insurance as well. It's something that we addressed. I thought we had addressed it for the most part on the property side last year when we signed over a dozen bills that we told would lead us to lower rates, both on property and in auto, and we have not seen any relief. And of course, people, it's gotten to the point where we saw rates continue to climb and climb and climb. And of course, people like myself and many people out there are sick and tired of the billboards that we see up and down the road. And when I was at G. Brian, I worked with Senator Heather Cloud, and we put together a bill that we hope would rein some of that in. It was kind of a trick and advertising bill. She got through the Senate and through the House and was vetoed by the last governor. And it's part of the package that we put out, and I'm trying to urge the legislature to quickly get that bill
Did we lose him?
matters.
I tell you what, I'm John, if you wouldn't mind, grab this. My apologies, Governor, if you can still hear. John's going to grab it real quick. Just get him to call right back, please. We were not getting him at all. It was just horrible connection, obviously due to the weather. While I have a quick second, let me remind you about the folks at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com. If your business has you traveling to our nation's capital, there's a direct flight for that at FlyBTR.com. And in fact, it leaves every morning in the 7 o'clock hour, comes back in the evening. You get your business done same day. And it's not just flying to Reagan National every day. You check out all the options at flybtr.com. And when you do check out those options, you're looking at direct flights, but also look at the full package here, what it takes to get from point A to point B. Would you have a longer drive down to New Orleans versus your layover? Do you have more parking expenses and the like? FlyBTR.com. All right, we are reconnected with Governor Landry. Do we have you, sir?
And you got me.
All right, it's going to be a battle with the weather and cell phones this morning, but we're going to find our way through it. You were talking about Senator Cloud's bill a minute ago. Representative Carver has it this time around. I've looked at this bill. I love this bill. There might be a couple of little snafus with it, but overall, you think it passes First Amendment muster?
Look, Brian, the only way we'll know is to try it. That is one of the challenges that we face in trying to rein that in. But it is something that has frustrated people for so long. I hear it again and again and again. And so, look, we've worked as best we could to try to thread the needle, and we'll see. But I think it's worth trying, don't you?
No, I absolutely do. And what I like best about it, though, is, Governor, I don't feel like it's not limiting free speech. In fact, it's enhancing it by saying we want some level of disclosure. If you're holding a big $500,000 check like you just won on The Price is Right, if you're holding a big $500,000 check, how much of that are you actually taking home? I think that number is important because that number will help stave off jackpot justice.
Look, I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And here's the important part. All I care about are the people of this state. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in continuing the record profits that insurance companies are making or jackpot justice that you're talking about. What I want to do is something that works. Look, where other people see a problem, I see an opportunity or a solution. I try to work on that. What I don't like is to promise people that we're going to do one thing and it not get done. I'm just not like that, right? I'm just not built like that. And the one thing that I've learned is that when you go to the data and you use the data will lead you to the solution. Yes. And it says that there are some things inside of our tort law that we must fix. Again, I go back to things that were vetoed in the last administration, like this housing presumption dealing with small injury claims, because we know that our small injury claims are double the national average, right? Yes. And I laid that out. And we got a no pay, no play bill. Those things are great. However, here's the problem. The insurance companies have just descended onto the Capitol with their checkbooks. And they promise us all these things, and we never get the relief. And so the only way, so I went to the data, I went to the law. The only way we're going to fix this is by empowering the insurance department to be able to hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. And we are the only state in the South, that does not grant the insurance department and the commissioner the ability to do that. And look, we've got a great bill. And yet the legislature right now wants to water it down. They want to add language that no other state has to basically take the teeth out of the bill. But our people deserve not to be lied to. They deserve to be, if they're told to call their legislature and say, listen, we need to rein in these lawyers, which we are going to do, that the changes we make will have an effect on their bill. And that's called a balanced approach. That's holding them accountable.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
We got Governor Jeff Landry with us. Well, I wanted to jump in because you've gotten to one where I think we actually disagree here. And with history on our with history, being hindsight being 2020. Up until Jeff Donnellan, we had insurance commissioners who just famously went to jail. I mean, Jeff Donnellan got reelected 3 times on the campaign promise of "I'm not in jail." And as much as I respect and love Tim Temple, do we really want to put more power back in an office that has that kind of track record?
Well, let me ask you this question, Brian. Do you really want to lower the rates?
Oh, I absolutely do. But
then you can't. But you can't. Here's the problem. You can't have it both ways. There is a reason that the rates. Look, in Texas, insurance companies make less money than they make in Louisiana. Insurance companies make 1.6 or 1.4 billion more. Okay, than they paid out. And the difference, and you can look at it. You can look at the tort laws in the different states. All of them are kind of all over the board. You can cherry pick it, but you can look at the data and you can say, okay, these are the ways that we can best rein in frivolous suits. When I go around and I talk to people like, I believe our problem is frivolous suits. And you could say, you could make the argument that they're right because the data says that our small claims are greater than the national average, not just greater, they're double. And so you then go to the tort law, you say, how are they abusing our law? And so you check those boxes off. But every time we've checked the boxes that the insurance companies have told us to check, the rates have never gone. Let me give you a great example. This is so important, Brian. If you give me 2 minutes on this. This is the most, I want people to listen to this. In 2020, the legislature impaneled a study. It's called the Insurance Rate Task Force. They brought the 3 largest insurance companies together and said, okay, if we adjust our tort law according to these 10 things that we've heard again and again and again, how much would it save our ratepayers? The largest savings that this group, these are the insurance companies, I send you the report, it's public, said the largest rate deduction that they could find, the biggest cost savings, was the seatbelt law. Okay? And it would have about a 5% reduction. We passed that law in 2020, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see a 5% reduction?
Oh, no. But when the rest of the nation went up, because something else happened in 2020 as well, Governor, the whole little thing about the pandemic and whatnot, we went up by a smaller portion than what the rest of the nation went up, though. We did actually get some level of, it wasn't a win like it was promised, but it was some level of a win.
Well, I can't find a consumer that's telling me that.
Well, because it didn't go down.
Well, I know they didn't go down, but they continued to go up. And so if we were paying way more, okay, then we should have been paying. And if you say, okay, well, we got inflation, you make all of the insurance companies make all of these excuses. Yet if you go to Wall Street in their reports, they're making record profits. Like I can understand, Brian. I mean, like the data is telling us that.
Both sides are making those record profits, though. That's the hard part. Is we don't want to vilify one side.
Well, I'm not. We started this whole conversation talking about how we're trying to rein in lawyer advertising, how we're trying to adjust the tort law. We're doing those things. The only difference has been is that every time we've adjusted the tort law, we haven't seen the savings out there. And so I don't understand why it's so difficult to just give. Okay, look, the insurance commissioner in Mississippi, did he go to jail? The one in Florida, the one in Alabama,
no.
The one in Georgia, the one in Arkansas, the one in Texas. We are mirroring the law in Mississippi. That an insurance agent told me on Facebook, why don't we just go to what Mississippi does? And yet, all of a sudden, it's like a problem. That's the part that is missing for me. I will go after the lawyers. We are going after the lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to adjust the tort law again. But if you don't have the ability to hold people accountable, the rates are going to continue to go up. And that's what you call a balanced approach. It's about, and you know what, the people of Louisiana deserve that. So what you really have laid out, Brian, this is the part that just is is so sad to me is that we have to pay high insurance rates because the people we elect go to jail. Think about that.
Well, that's one factor in it, don't they? You know the argument's bigger than that. You know that's only one factor in it. It's something offhanded that I brought up.
I mean, what is the other? Tell me this. What is the other argument for giving our insurance commission and the department the same power that they have in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Arkansas, Florida, South Carolina? Like, why is that a problem?
If we give them the rest of the same playing field, which you've already talked about, and you have already talked about it, if we give them the rest of the same playing field, I don't know. I don't see a problem with that. But we got to give them the rest of the same playing field as well, though. It's that if we want to see the same results.
I agree with you, and that's why I've walked through all of the changes that we should be making to our tort reform. The way that you quote go after the lawyers. You passed that housing presumption, which was vetoed last go round.
Yeah.
You passed the advertising bill, which was vetoed last time. You get a model on collateral source, which people don't understand, but we vetoed last year. We got a better bill this year. Why? Because it hurt the small people out there that have legitimate claims, and we can do better, and we can do it by adopting a Texas model, right? It's again, that's adjusting the tort. We can increase our no pay, no play so that we encourage people to buy insurance when they drive on our roads. Again, by doing those things, we are adjusting the tort law just like the insurance companies have told us. But here's what, look, I'll give you an example. Last year when we were taking these bills up, and we had kind of focused a little bit more on property, the insurance companies came to us and asked us to do all kind of things. And I went through them, and I was like, man, this is going to be bad for the consumer. This is good. Okay, yeah. And so we took 50 or 60%, maybe 70% of what they wanted, about 30% we threw out. They went over to Florida. And Governor DeSantis passed them all. Go look at what's going on in Florida. Go see how those people have no more access to courts. They're paying for their premiums. They can't get their houses fixed. They can't get their claims paid. Because again, if you don't add a balanced approach, then what happens is one side takes advantage of the other. And so if you go in and you say, okay, we're going to fix it to rein in the lawyers on this side, and the insurance company say, yes, we want you to do this. And, okay, and say, okay, well, how do we know that you are going to, at a minimum, not raise the rates anymore?
Right.
Please be able, or at least be forced to go to the insurance commission and justify. I'm going to tell you something else. Why should we pay? We want to get Morris Bart off the billboards. Why should we pay for the lizard? Why should we pay for the high-priced actors that the insurance companies put in their commercials? Why should that be baked into our premium?
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Say that part again.
So we're going to rein in lawyer advertising.
Right.
So why should we pay for the lizard in the commercial? And why should all of those high-priced commercials be baked into our citizens' premiums? Why should we pay for that?
Well, I mean, if you want the honest answer, it's because you don't see in those commercials, you don't see anybody waving a check around like they just won on the Price is Right.
No, I get that. We're adjusting that part. But my point is, if they want to spend more and more and more and more on advertising, that should come out of their bottom line. It shouldn't be baked into.
No. And I don't want anybody to stop it. Governor, I work in radio. I don't want anybody to stop advertising.
Oh, I know, but I agree with that. But look, at the end of the day, they can do it without us paying for it, Brian.
Yes. Hey, we got about a minute or so left. I want to redirect here for this last minute. From the time you were elected until now, it seems like insurance is the only spot where we're not in full gear, driving at full speed. How, as governor, do you make sure that we keep winning on every other front without this being a speed bump that turns into a roadblock?
Listen, I can tell you, we passed the ballot approach, and we can get back to job creation. I really do. It is you bring up a great point. And number one, that we're doing so many great things that this has created such an obstacle for us in the way. But hey, look, I think it's one of those obstacles that we must remove out the roadway. That's why I went through this whole discussion about a balanced approach. Why? Because I don't want to be here next year with people complaining about high rates and not being able to, and making all those adjustments and not being able to hold people accountable. So we're going to work real hard. Look, we got some great great announcements. We've got over 50,000 new jobs that come into the state of Louisiana. Over 50 billion in new investment. And it's not happening in just one area. We got two big projects on the west side of the river, which I hope is going to finally give us the catalyst needed to get us a new bridge. Those are all great things that we can continue to talk about, but we really have to get focused on and fix the insurance crisis in a balanced approach.
He is Governor Jeff Landry, owes me an in-studio visit, but I appreciate you hopping on the phone for sure, sir.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
We'll talk to you soon, man. Be safe out there.
Okay, all right.
8:36, we blew past everything. I don't even apologize. That was way too much fun. We've got author Jeffrey Marx coming up next. Jeff! Well, the governor was supposed to be in studio. And we were going to get, in fact, I'm losing the tie. That's, yeah. Right here. Okay. The governor was supposed to be in studio, and we were supposed to go head to head on insurance, and I was planning on getting a whole lot of social media video out of it. Yeah. Oh, it was awesome over the phone, but he cuts out once in a while. Cell phone. Yeah.
A real, it's a conversation, whereas on the phone you feel like I feel so awkward.
Yeah, and I can't get a vibe of, can I push him harder?
Right.
Can I call him out and bullshit? By the way, we're always on Facebook Live.
Oh, so they heard that right there?
Yeah, they heard me say that.
All right.
That's not unusual.
Well, thanks for letting me know. I might have even shaved, but no, probably not. So you still go by Brain, or is that an old thing of the past?
It's not. I take no offense to it. The name Brain started before I was Moscona's producer. Yeah, I wouldn't. Matt and I were over at Clear Channel before here. And the name Brain started as actually just a typo. I had a production order for a spot. No. I had a remote to go to, and all the details of the remote were. I was the program director at WJBO and WSKR. After Matt Kennedy. He stepped back from program director just to be a morning show host, and then go sell retirements and make more money than God. So I stepped in as program director, and it was on the door of my office. It said "For Brain," and it was a complete mistake.
I think it's a great. I love it.
So
I love it, unless it's. But as I said,
no.
I wouldn't want to offend you if it's like a bad.
What I love is like
I don't know how Brain could be bad, but
no, but like I can know where I know people from because of it.
Okay.
So, and overwhelmingly, somebody calls me Brain. I know there's an association to being Matt's producer. Which,
okay.
If I'm being 100% honest, was probably the most fun I'll ever have in radio.
Oh, cool. Well, then you don't mind if I make a Brain reference?
No,
okay.
not at all.
All right, good.
I thoroughly encourage it.
Does it ever come up still, or that's more kind of a thing?
No, it
does
more than you'd think.
Okay,
more than you think. To realize how far removed we are from it.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this show?
In its current iteration since April 15th of 2019.
Oh, wow. Tax day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's an interesting day to start, huh?
Well, we just went through everything bad that happened on April 19th.
Yeah.
April 15th, right?
But
Titanic sank.
So 6 years solid already.
Lincoln died.
My math ain't real good, but I think I have that one, right?
Yeah. 6 years.
Okay.
But including a pandemic.
Yeah. Did you still do it from here during the yes?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's a heck of a run, man. Good for you.
Thank you. But yeah, I was the morning show host when we launched this station in 2011.
Oh.
So it was me and Matt Kennedy.
Okay.
We both came over from JBO. And then Matt retired from radio to go do his retirement thing.
Right.
Kevin Gallagher came on.
Oh, I remember Kevin. Yeah.
About a year and a half after that, Guarantee Let Me Go in 2014, late 2014.
Thereby proving that they were brainless.
That's
I
very
mean,
nice turn of
Yeah,
phrase.
that's weak, but I go.
No.
with what I got.
I like it. I like
You
it.
think that's bad? You should listen to what my wife has to put up with. It's really how she hangs in there, but
and then they brought me back in 2017, and this so nobody when I was like, oh, nobody wanted to let me go, but they were selling off the insurance company and
Right.
the contract that expired. So if you're going to tighten up or whatever,
yeah,
it made
I
sense.
get it.
One of the other hosts just had a heart attack; they weren't letting him go, and the other two were brand spanking new and under contract. So it just made sense on paper to let me go.
Yeah,
and me and Gordy would get together for lunch like once a quarter or whatever, just kind of spitballing.
Right.
And I had another job at that point, whatever, but just like, we want to bring you back, blah, blah, blah. Well, after the flood, my other job started getting a little more questionable, and I got scaled back to part-time over there. So I called Gordy and I'm like,
It's time.
we got to figure something out.
Yeah.
He's like, okay,
Okay.
give me a day. He calls me back an hour later. He's like, how would you like to report traffic? I was like, I can do that. And then another hour goes by, and my phone rings, and I see it's Matt Moscona. And so the plan was I was going to come back part-time, report traffic in the morning, and then go to my other job part-time in the afternoon. Moscona calls me back an hour later, and his words, fuck that, be my producer. I was like, done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He stepped in
great.
perfectly.
He's had a string of really good people, man.
Yeah. Give me one quick second.
Yeah, of course.
Time to get a look at that forecast real quick. Here's what we've got going on. Should be scaling back on the thunderstorm side right now. You might still be experiencing it. I know that's made a lot less noise in downtown Baton Rouge, but it is still what's on the board. And looking at the radar, we still are pretty much in the thick of it as far as the yellows and the oranges are concerned. Now, once this rolls off, we should clear up a little bit this morning for a couple of hours. And then this afternoon, it's going to kick right back up again. Thunderstorms around 2 p.m., lasting through afternoon drive. Your high today only getting up to 84. Your high tomorrow, 86. Will be up to 88 on Saturday, 90 on Sunday and Monday. But you can expect these erratic thunderstorms to be popping through this afternoon, and then scaling back. Well, I shouldn't say scaling back. At a 60% clip tomorrow as well, 60% chance of rain. Next week, we're getting to midweek before the rain comes back after that. Right now, we are experiencing thunderstorms. It's 71 in downtown Baton Rouge. Keep you through the end of the show. Can I keep you till 9?
Yeah, of course.
Because I ran super long with the go.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You blow up the last segment. We're going to keep Joe. 8:43. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're moving from one Jeff to another. We got Jeff Marx in studio. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Good morning to you. You say Brian. I say brain.
Well, it all depends on what chapter of life it comes from. But brain is still very much welcome.
Awesome. Well,
in fact, sometimes needed.
It's enjoyable to see you again. You say chapter. Good to see you in a different chapter than the one I used to see you
Well, so Jeff knows me from when I was Moscona's producer over on After Further Review, where I was fired on a weekly basis, if not more regularly. I think Matt fired me more than Mr. Spacely fired George Jetson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are some big numbers.
Right?
Congratulations on your survival.
Side note, his powers of firing are not worth a darn. So that's
here you are.
Yeah, always. You've got a bit. Speaking of Matt, you and Matt have an event. It's your event, but Matt's gonna be along for the ride as well. Coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, it's actually an event of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System. I'm just along for the ride, and then Matt too is along for the ride. But it's a program called One Book, One Community. This has been going on for 19 years in Baton Rouge. They pick a selection each year, and it was an incredible gift, honor, joy to be selected this year. I didn't know it was coming, but when they asked, I was thrilled about it, and it's been really interesting and enjoyable to watch it unfold. It's been going on for the last 2 months.
Let's talk about the book. What book is being celebrated on One Book, One Community?
The book is Season of Life, and it's a book about a man named Joe Ehrman, a program he runs called Building Men for Others.
Mhm.
Now, you did notice the season. There is a football on the cover of the book. It is a football season that I spent with this man in Baltimore in 2001. But it's really not a book about football. It's a book about life. It's a book about relationships. It's a book about building leaders. And ultimately, it's a book about fathers and sons and redefining what it means to be a man in this world. That's not my stuff. That's Joe Ehrmann's material. And I was just lucky enough to hang around with him and be able to write about it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but can you tell me a little bit more about the story? How are we redefining what it means to be a man?
Well, let me back up for a minute and just introduce you to Joe Ehrmann, if I may, because
Sure.
that'll help to make it make sense. So back in the 1970s and early 80s, Joe was a big-time football star. He was an NFL player, an all-pro, a defensive lineman for a team that used to exist called the Baltimore Colts.
Mhm.
But Joe went through some big changes in his life, and after his football career, he ended up in the ministry, pastor of a large church in Baltimore, 4,000 members, and he coached a little high school football on the side while he was doing that. But he only coached football because he saw that to be such a great context in which to teach these boys these messages. So what he teaches them, it's all about redefining masculinity. He talks about what our culture gives you every day as boys and men, and he calls it false masculinity. That's all about when you're young, what kind of athlete are you? When you get a little older, it's about sexual conquest. You get a little older than that, and the third piece kicks into play. That's economic success. But those are going to lead you to great failure if that's the only way you want to define yourself as a man. So what Joe does is he debunks all of that stuff, and he replaces it with what he calls strategic masculinity. There are only two major pieces to that, and then a bunch of subsets. But the two major pieces are relationships and having a cause beyond yourself. Joe calls it a transcendent cause. It's bigger than your own individual hopes, dreams, and desires. It's a way to impact the world around you.
Okay, I'm hearing the ministry spill over big time into this. How much of this is the message of Christ?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm a Jewish guy from New York,
Mhm.
and I spent that year with Joe. And after this book came out, I used to joke, but only half jokingly, that there might not have been another Jewish man in America on as many Christian mailing lists as I ended up on after this book came out. But no, it's not about Christianity. It's not about any labels. I would say it's about humanity. And it's really about making this world a better place for you, for your family, for your community. And that even ties back into the One Book, One Community program, because it is all about community and building community through reading in this case. So that fit even made sense.
Very awesome stuff. We got Jeffrey Marx in with us. He's the author of Season of Life and a selection of other great books as well. Walk me through the process. How'd you find out you were going to be the one book?
Well, that was interesting. So I was contacted by an incredible lady named Mary Stein, who's the assistant director of the library system.
Okay. Yes, I'm very familiar with Mary. She's a very awesome person. A lot of power in such a little person.
Well, a lot of energy.
Yes.
And a lot of dedication.
Oh, yeah.
And
A lot
incredible,
fire.
incredible to work with. I've really enjoyed that. So Mary contacted
She's
me
impressive.
a little more than a year ago, and she asked me if I would participate in this if they chose the book Season of Life. And she told me about it. I was familiar with the One Book, One Community program. I've actually been able to participate in that in a few other places in the country through the years. So, but never in my own community, which this is home for me, Baton Rouge. So for me, that was very special to be selected. And I ended up looking online after I had my first conversation with her because I wanted to learn about the program here. I found out they've been doing it 19 years. I saw some of the other books that had been selected over the years, including To Kill a Mockingbird, Great Gatsby, the works of Edgar Allan Poe. And I thought to myself, why in the world, which one of us does not belong? It was pretty clear to me. So, but they were kind enough to stick with me on that. And it's really been wonderful.
It's been 19 years already.
For that program, yes. One Book.
I remember it was under the Kip Holden administration where it got started. Man, I'm old. Okay.
You think you're old.
Fast.
You think you're old. You want to try on my numbers? No. I mean, and you ask about Joe Ehrmann and how that all started. I met that man when I was 11 years old. I was a ball boy for the Colts. So
really,
fast forward all those years later and reconnecting with him, and you want to talk about watching the years run by. To sit here as a 62-year-old man and talk to you about a journey that started for me when I was 11 with this man, Joe Ehrmann, and what a huge part of my adult life he became as well through this book. So it's crazy.
We're going to push pause real quick. We got to check your money now. We got to check traffic. Author Jeffrey Marx is going to stick around for one more segment here on Talk 107.3. I was over by about 5 seconds. No worries.
You didn't know the ball boy part, huh?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that was a great, like, so in 1974 was the first summer. I was 11 years old, and the first summer I started doing that with the Colts in their training camp. The year before that, much to my good fortune, I'll give you a little sports nugget here, local too. The Colts in 73 had 2 first-round draft choices because of a trade.
Yeah.
And their 2 picks were Joe Ehrman, who was the 10th pick in the NFL draft in the first round that year, the guy I ended up writing about, and a man named Burt Jones was the number 2 pick in the draft in 73, a guy that used to play at LSU. And so
did Burt Jones play for the Colts?
Did he? He was the MVP of the National Football League in 1976 for the Baltimore Colts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Burt, it's a bizarre, I couldn't have made this up as an 11-year-old boy or any other age, but Burt and Joe are 2 of my best friends through my entire life.
How cool.
And their families. And so it's just the fact that just by chance, those 2 men were drafted the same year out of college in a place that I didn't even live in, Baltimore. And then I show up there for a summer as a little kid. Yeah, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense.
When we come back, we'll talk about the event itself.
Okay.
So I wanted to kind of compartmentalize that.
Yeah, thank you. Can we say about Matt? I can mention that as well. Well, you already did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think people in your audience, because it's the same company,
we have a lot of shared audience.
A lot of crossover. Okay.
I run into that a lot. The one book, one community thing. They've I'm trying to remember when they first started moving towards making it more local, like celebrating the fact that we have great writers here.
Yeah, I asked that question. Matt and I had a meeting with Mary the other day, and I was curious. I asked her about that, and she said they don't really. It's not that they're trying to do that. That has happened a little bit more. But I think in the beginning they ended up with these kind of like, I don't know if classics is the right word, probably not technically, but books that are
required reading.
Thank you. That's To Kill a Mockingbird, Great Gatsby. I think we all read at least one of those in school, if not both.
I remember having this discussion with Kip Holden when it first started. And I was like, haven't we already read these?
Interesting.
And,
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Like,
yeah.
He's like, you would be shocked at the number of people who haven't.
And that's true too. Yeah. So,
and he followed it by saying, and by the way, it's probably been since high school, so you need to read it again.
He's right.
And yeah, it's
a next logical question would have been to ask him if he had actually read them, but but that's a different topic. But yeah, it is interesting to me how they do it. And Mary, I don't think there's a set way that they do it. I think I had done some things with them years ago with the library, like years, 12, 15 years ago. So it wasn't like a recent thing that this was kind of on their mind. So yeah, I don't know exactly how, but it's been incredible to see what they do, because they've been doing events for 2 months. This is the only one I actually participate in this Sunday, but they've been doing book clubs. They had a tailgate party to kick off the whole thing at the main branch. They have had kids events. They go to schools with it. They've had corporate involvement. They reach a lot of folks with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The amount of time and work they put into it's amazing. You ever run into Tamika Roby? Also works at the library, and a lady named Claire DeLawn, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not sure, but they have put in a lot of time as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an impressive thing they do. Really impressive. And it's
I don't know how much the library actually likes me, because
oh really?
Well, the topics of budgetary things come up in our tax dollars and whatnot.
Right.
We're paying millages on the library based off of their construction budget, not off their maintenance budget, and it comes across like, oh, he's anti-library, and I was like, no, I love the library. I'm in the library a minimum of once a month.
Right.
As a member of the Sherwood Forest Crime Commission, we have our meetings at the main branch, so I see how active the library is.
Right. Libraries are a very different entity than they used to be when we were kids.
They are no longer, and this is the turn of phrase that I came up with when we first started talking about it. They are no longer dusty old books and dustier old volunteers.
Okay, that's a good, yeah. And I'm a huge book guy, period, huge reading and writing guy. So libraries have always been a big part of my life, but I'm really impressed with the system here. And I've read about the stuff that's going on. I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of that. I wouldn't want to be on either side, but I'm on the side of supporting librarians. That's for darn sure.
Yes. But I mean, there's many different parts of the discussion.
And I don't follow the detail, but my whole thing is there's got to be some middle ground here, and it looks like they have found some middle ground.
Yes, they have. And that's
right
a good thing.
Right from the start, I was like, there's got to be some middle ground.
And right when the whole topic started, someone was shot and killed in the parking lot of an East Baton Rouge library.
And
it's like
I somehow missed that.
Like sometimes reality becomes the metaphor. Like it's just you can't write that script. That's executive producer Dick Wolf on that one. That's
crazy. I didn't know about that. Which branch was it? Not the Blue Bonnet, I hope. That's what I go to.
No. Is there a Delmont Gardens? Is that?
I think so.
Yeah. I think that was the branch.
Sounds right.
All right. We got 4 minutes left before we have to hand off to Moon Griffon. We got author Jeffrey Marx in with us. He's the featured author in One Book, One Community 2025. The book is called Season of Life. Jeff, in these remaining minutes, I want to focus on Sunday because it's a pretty big deal. This is the big culmination of the whole thing. So what's going down on Sunday?
Yeah, so Sunday we're going to have an event at 3:00 at the library, the main branch on Goodwood, right off Goodwood there. And it's going to be a program. They asked me to speak. They call it an author talk. And I thought, this is all about community. Let's try to make it more than just one guy, one tired old writer standing up there talking. So I was really fortunate. Matt Moscona agreed to join with me, and we're going to make it more of a conversation. So he and I will have the first 45 minutes or so to talk about the book and the messages, but also in a broader sense about being a writer and the world of publishing. And then we'll have plenty of time for question and answer, which is always my favorite part because I love hearing and seeing and feeling and trying to respond to what people think of those words on the pages and what their takeaways are. One of the things that always interests me as a writer is the words on the pages never change. Once they're there, they are there.
Yeah.
But people have their own takeaways from the same exact words. And I have seen that through the years with this book more than anything else I've ever written. So I'm looking forward to that part. And after that, we'll have plenty of time for book signing and photos and all those things that you normally do at an event like that. So the other thing about it that's so impressive, Brian, is just what they've done leading up to this. As I mentioned in the last segment, they've been doing this for 2 months now with book clubs and corporate groups and children's events. And they had a tailgate party to kick off the whole thing at the main branch.
So good.
And it's just been incredible to watch it unfold. And huge standing ovation to Mary Stein and everyone else over there on the staff at the library system here in East Baton Rouge Parish. What they've done with this is remarkable.
I assume when you get to the main branch of the library, you hang a right and go down that hallway to get to the big room, or
the big main meeting room. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Sunday, 3:00. Do you have to sign up, RSVP, make sure your seat's saved, anything like
You
that?
don't have to sign up. It is free. That's a nice thing. And if you need more information on it, you can look at readonebook.org, readonebook.org, and all the information's there.
Okay. He is author Jeffrey Marx. If there's any question along the way that you don't want to answer, are you just going to mention Mickey Loomis's name to throw Moscona off track?
No, I'm going to send them to you. I'm going to forward all those queries to you.
Fair enough. We can get that done. The book's called Season of Life. The event is coming up Sunday at 3 p.m. at the main branch of the library. He is author Jeffrey Marx. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Great being with you. Thanks, Brian.
Always. Before I get out of here, I do need to remind you about the folks at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. Founded in the late 1800s, I believe 1897. They were founded as a community bank. Over time, they've grown into a community bank. How about that? Staying true to their roots, staying true to their mission, staying true to what they believe they are here to serve. Visit LandmarkBankLA.com. If you're in downtown Baton Rouge, you're not going to find a branch there. But if you're in Zachary, Clinton, Brewley, Denham, the communities where you need a community bank, they've got you covered. Looking to buy a new home, they can help you out there. Looking for checking and savings, they can help you out there. Starting a new business, they can help you out there. LandmarkBankLA.com. That's it for us today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Moon's next. That clock's off.
Oh, okay. You need to get that right. That could mess you. That could mess you up. We're off.
So I have to trust him
All
over
right.
my lion eyes.
I
So
understand.
all right, Facebook, we're gonna get out of here. I was not in the comment section for the Jeff Landry interview. That was on purpose because I know how ADD I can get, and I probably would have chased every rabbit hole there was. So I'll go catch up on my reading later on. We'll see you tomorrow.